All right. All right. Hey, what's going on? It's Bill Burr, and it's time for the Thursday afternoon, just before Friday, Monday morning podcast. And you know, if it's being filmed, that means that I have a very special guest. Because as some of you who are new to the podcast, I usually just talk to myself in my little man cave there. But every once in a while, somebody comes to town that I have to sit down and talk with. And this is not an exception. The one and only Mike Donovan is here. He has a new stand-up book called The Stand-Up Comedy Book, a collection of thoughts, stories, biographies, jokes, and journals of stand-up. Mike Donovan, one of the legends of the Boston comedy scene. When I started out, welcome to the podcast, first of all. When I started out, you were one of the guys that I used to watch, and I would sit in the back of the club and just watch you get on these rolls and just absolutely like level the room. And you would be killing so hard that I forgot that I wanted to be a comedian, that I was trying to be a comedian. You were one of those guys that was so funny that you became like an audience member. And I remember sitting in the back of the club thinking, how do you get that funny? So do you think, because this is what people have always asked me, why are there so many funny guys coming out of Boston? Like, I always said the guys that started set the bar so high, and there was a standard to be original and no stealing jokes and that's none of that shit. Yeah, hear you. That's right. Yeah. Oh, you got punched in the nose. And I just remember watching all of you guys, how hard you killed, that I didn't think that it was out of the ordinary. Like when I would watch you guys killing, like my idea of what killing is because of guys like you, Lenny, Noxie, rest his soul, Tony V, all of those guys, Gavin Sweeney and all of them. And I remember when I moved to New York, oh God, this is going to start some shit. But I moved to New York and I saw people coming off stage going like, oh, dude, I killed, I fucking slayed. And I would be like, I mean, you had a good set.
Yeah, some of these people that say I killed, I say you should be killed.
Yeah.
I know what killing is, and
right.
That wasn't killing. I got to stand. I killed last night. I've known you 20 years. I've never seen you kill. Apparently, it's only when I never see you that you kill.
Yeah. Why? What was it that made all of you guys just? I don't know what it was like from the beginning. It seemed like DJ Hazard, Frank Santarelli, all of you guys were just murderers. Fucking murdered, and there wasn't any Kenny Rogerson. I'm trying to think of anybody. You don't got to name a name in there that would kind of just hit a single to right and wait for somebody. Everybody was just kind of swinging for the fences.
Yeah, the Northeast, it's cold, and I don't mean the weather. If you stumble on the sidewalk, it doesn't matter who's walking by. It could be a 90-year-old nut.
Right, people laugh at you. It's a mean thing, you think?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I something that I'm very thankful that I started out and I got to see you guys doing your thing. So how did you? I remember when I used to open for you. You were real quiet, so I get really intimidated, and you'd say, "Hey, listen, pal, keep it to like 3 or 5 fucks. No more."
Well, let me tell you that story. Here's how that worked.
I love that it wasn't 3 or 4. It'd be like 3 to 5 fucks.
Right. Well, first, Michelle Polito at the Kowloon told me one night, watch this new guy, because she trusts me. I'll always be honest with her. She said, what do you think of this new guy? Just let me know what you think of this new guy, Bill Burr. And I watched you at the Kowloon, and I was watching, and you did this one bit that really got to me in a good way. It was about clouds. You were saying, Jesus. Who is the first pilot that saw a cloud and said, let's fly through this? And
the other guys to go through it.
Yeah, and the other guy's saying, no, it's going to destroy the plane. And I thought, that is brilliant. That is just brilliant. And that won me over. And so then the next day, a lot of people used to call me up and say, hey, can you recommend me to some bookers? I said, well, it should be something that I decide to do. It shouldn't be something you're leaning on me to do.
Right.
So I called without you knowing.
Now, did you have a problem saying that to people?
Yes. I wouldn't say it. I'd sort of lie to, yeah, I'll see what I can do.
I'll get right on that.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. It's like, because if you're asking me, chances are, obviously the answer is no. Otherwise, I would have done it by now.
I know.
And Louis C.K. was another guy. He didn't ask me. I saw him, and I said, I like this kid. And I called a couple of bookers, and I got him into a couple of clubs. He might not remember it. You might not remember it. But I called Pretty Polly, Denise Kirk.
That was one of the big phone calls I ever got. I remember when they called me. Pretty Polly used to book college gigs, and they were like, hey, Bill, this is so-and-so from Pretty Polly. Mike Donovan gave you a shout-out. And they go, do you know who we are? I said, yeah, I know you are. I go, you guys booked the colleges.
And it happened fast. A week later, she said, well, it just so happens I got something coming up at Dartmouth. So we took the ride to Dartmouth. It was 3.5 hours. It's a lot longer than we're going to be here on this podcast. It's 3:15 each way. And we got there, and it was 3 degrees and windy. It was one of the coldest nights ever. We had to park 4 blocks away. But, you did a great job, and it was all uphill. But let me just tell you one thing. I was watching one of your specials last night. You were talking about how you were checking out the new music because you figure, well, I'm going to play this club, so I'm thinking I'm going to do Bill Burr's podcast. Should I watch his specials? Because I live under a rock. I'm a bookworm. I'm writing history books all the time. That is my life, is history books.
Right. And
writing them and self-publishing them. And I didn't know. I knew that you would become big, but I didn't know what you would become. And I'm thinking to myself, what if I don't like what I see? What if I watch this special and he's some nasty prick, some right-wing asshole or some left-wing asshole, or maybe he's mean-spirited, or maybe he's become hacky. I don't know. I know that I like.
So you think politically I'm in the middle?
Yes.
Thank God. Because that's what I try to do, because I don't have the answers. I don't want to piss anybody else. So I just sort of trash both sides. I got to be honest with you, liberals are more fun to trash because they're not used to it. We're conservatives. They're like, fuck you. You guys always shit on the...
when you came into Nick's, I had... The night before you came into Nick's, I didn't know you were coming to town, and I had a dream that you were in my kitchen talking to me, and he handed me your address. And it was a long time. I thought, that is bizarre. I haven't really thought about Bill that much lately. I know he's big. I haven't talked to him in ages. And then... The next day I get a phone call from Nick saying, do you mind if Bill Burr comes in and does a guest set? And without hesitating, I said, yeah, I think I do mind. He's going to destroy the place, and then they're going to boo me off the fucking stage.
Never would happen.
And then I said, and then Ryan Cott said, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. It's all right. It was just an initial reaction.
Right.
And then you came in and I watched your set. You didn't hurt my set at all. Because
I couldn't. You're Mike Donovan.
Well, you're a mod.
I was also nervous, dude. I went right back. This was last summer when I was getting ready to do that gig that I had in Boston. So I wanted to do a little set to warm up, and I went right back to being little Billy Burr opening for you and like Drake. Dude, no, I was serious.
No way.
Dude, you got you got that face, dude, where you're just sitting there, you like that poker face, like, I don't know what you're thinking, and I'm just going, like, keep it to $3 to $5. Don't piss off. Don't piss off Mike Donovan. Mike Clark won't get me at giggles anymore. I went right back to that, and I got to tell you, when I got off stage and you said, man, really funny stuff, like, I can't even tell you what a lift that gave me, because I hold all of you guys where you should be. Like, you guys built the scene that gave me a career. So when
I was watching you, and I was watching you have a wonderful rhythm, and I was watching that, but I was noticing that you were even-handed, and that's a Lenny Bruce quality. And before we finish the show, I want to do a Lenny Bruce impression if we can.
Okay.
But you were even-handed, and there isn't a lot of that out there. There's a lot of people that don't do any political leanings. They're just hacks or whatever, or they just do their thing, and it doesn't touch on politics. But you can name 100 right-wing redneck comedians and 100 left-wing liberal comedians.
I'd say 1,000 left-wing.
But they don't. They don't have a moderate bone in their body, and they never know how to say, well, I changed my mind on that. I'm back and forth on that. Or I'm not sure about that. Or I don't know enough about that. Or I used to feel this way, and now I feel this way. And call me tomorrow, I might feel differently about it.
Right.
And I used to be on WBZ Radio as a guest for several years before the pandemic hit. And one of the things that my co-hosts really liked what I said was, never let your opinion become your identity. Because then you have a vested interest in not backtracking and not changing your mind, because now my ego's on the line because I asserted myself on this issue, and now my opinion has become my identity. And I work very hard to always be ready to change my mind in a heartbeat on anything. But anyway, I was noticing, and it was wonderful to see anybody that was even-handed. It's so rare. To me, that's one of your outstanding qualities, and I think it's...
It's not my good looks.
Of course it is.
No, I really appreciate that, because I think that, like, I don't know. I don't know shit, right? But when I see people, like, just, like, in entertainment, tweeting their political opinions, it's just like, why would you do that? Like, nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody.
Exactly. You know what, dude? Just the way you said nobody was beautiful. It's nobody. You're yelling at nobody, and there's a couple of morons that will yell back at you. Like last night, we went out to dinner, my wife and I, with a couple great friends of ours, and at one point, I showed this thing that somebody had posted about how the politicians in the Senate and the House of Representatives all crushed it last year in the stock market, you know, and everybody else, like, took a bath, but somehow they knew exactly what it, you know. And he looked at it and he goes, "Is this true?" And I was like, I don't know. Somebody just put it on the internet. And he goes, "Because, I don't know if that's true." And I started to argue with him. Then I just stopped. I go, like, why don't I just fucking agree with you that maybe it's not true? Because I'm not going to change yours, and let's just enjoy dinner. And we both just started laughing, because at the end of the day, like, if you get sucked into that thing where, like, I think this way and you don't, and I'm going to convince you to think the way I think, like, what the fuck do I know? So,
but back to that point is that the person talking like you're describing is never going to backtrack and say, I've changed my mind about that.
Well, my friend actually laughed and goes, "Yeah, you're right. Like, he is cool."
But nobody says, well, tomorrow I might think differently about that. Once you establish this, I'm a conservative or I'm a liberal. I write history books. That's what I'm self-publishing.
What part of history is fascinates you that you're writing about?
The World War II I've always been interested in. When I was 12 years old, I wasn't a very good student, but when it came to anything to do with World War II, the teacher would stand next to me to make sure that no one could steal my answers. I couldn't slip the answer. I knew I was an expert on World War II when I was 12. But then I forced myself to...
So you got an A in history and F's and everything else?
Pretty much. Close enough. But I have a great trilogy I've written called Who's Who in World War II, Who's Who in the Civil War, and Who's Who in Russian History. Right now I'm on a binge on Russian history. I'm a wizard on Russian history. I'm available to be a teacher if anybody wanted to hire me.
That's amazing.
People say, "Why don't you teach?" Well, it's not that simple. You don't just walk out the door and say, "Anybody want to hire me to be..."
You know what's funny? I actually wanted to do that. Like, one summer, I wanted to go back. I went to Emerson College, and I was like, I would love to just teach a course, because they have like a comedy or performance course out there. And I was like, I would love to teach a course on, like, stand-up comedy and just hang out in Boston, which I love, eat the food I love, put on 40 pounds, and then go down there and help out, this next generation of comedians. And then I found, you got to get certified. You got to do this.
Right. It's not that simple.
Yeah. It's a long...
If somebody heard this podcast and say, "This guy, I checked him out online. I heard him. He sounds like somebody we could hire." I mean, I'm available, but I'm also available to just live the rest of my life as I'm doing it. I'm not worrying about that. But my history books, you wouldn't know. I wrote a JFK, a history. I wrote a history of every presidency, not every president, every presidency. I might be the only person.
What's the difference between every president and every presidency?
Because a presidency is a history of the United States in that president's time. My books are called, like, the USA in the time of JFK. So it's not really about JFK, but it's divided by presidencies. And if you're in college or high school and you're reading books about American history, it's always these large blended chapters that roll into each other, economics in the pre-Civil War era and, education. But to have it nice and organized, one book at a time. But anyway, the point is, a friend of mine he's a successful writer, Jack Olson. He wrote a bunch of true crime books. But anyway, he was looking at my stuff, and he sent it to one of his friends, and he asked his friend, "Does this guy swing from the left or the right?" Because the guy read the whole book. And the guy said, that's an interesting question. I mean, right there, I'm in gold because
he doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
That's perfect.
And he thought about it. He says, I think he swings from the left. But just the way that what I just said went down, that says it all.
Yep.
I've written, I got some ebooks I've published about, I call it The Heritage of American Slavery. And it's a history of, mostly it's stories and incidents that have to do with slavery in American history. And you get tumbleweeds when you mention it on social media because everyone's afraid. Believe it or not, this might be hard to believe. It doesn't have any left-wing stink on it, and it doesn't have any right-wing patriotic stink on it either. It's just stories. It's old-fashioned history. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I'm a bookworm. I'm up all night reading old-fashioned books, and I'm creating these history books. And this is my life. This is why I'm only a household name in the Boston area until I got here. This is the biggest thing that ever happened for me. And that's not a backhanded compliment because you're a special person.
I appreciate that. And I remember one time, just if you want to know about this guy, I remember when I was talking to you way back in the day about some hell gig I did out in Lee, Massachusetts, and somebody threw a fucking dinner roll at me, and how pissed I was when I left. Just humiliated. And you looked at me, you go, you know what I do when I have a gig like that? He go, I take the money and I go out from the money from that gig, I go out and buy myself something nice. It was back then. He goes, you go, I had a gig like that. I went out and I bought a fucking VCR. And every time I pop a tape in, I think, fuck you to that crowd. I got a VCR. And I was just sitting there like, I was like, that is such like a great way to try to get something. There was always that story, and then the Don Gavin, the classic one where he drove all the way up to Western Massachusetts to play a fair, and he showed up, and he's like, yeah, hey, I'm the comedian. Where am I performing? And they go, we figured you'd just stand right over here, get up on that picnic table. He goes, you going to set up any chairs? They go, no, we just figured you'd start doing your act and people would assemble. And he goes, is there a microphone? And they said, no. He goes, okay, great. He goes, I got my props in the car. I'm going to go get them. He's not a prop comic. And he just got in his car and drove home. And I remember thinking, like, I didn't know you could do that.
Right.
Like, I would have been like, well, I don't want to piss off the people at the fair. And I would have stood there and humiliated myself. So that was another thing that I liked about you guys was the self-esteem that if it was a bullshit gig or something happened, you guys all had your little thing. Like, Don would leave. You're like, I'll fucking do the gig, but I'm getting a VCR out of this. Right. I always just thought that was so cool.
One of my favorite things in the book that I mentioned is a slogan I have called "Don't forget this," and this is going out to aspiring comedians. Mm-hmm. Don't forget your shield. Your shield is your act. If you're in a situation, it's noisy, there's music coming in from the next room, the mic is shorting out, the manager is being a grouch, and you're like, this sucks.
Right.
How am I going to get through this? Don't forget your shield. You're not just going up there as yourself. You have an act. Mm-hmm. Just do your act. And that's your best strategy to get through this difficult situation.
How did you get the nerve to do stand-up? Being like... You remind me a little bit of myself, or believe it or not, as much as I run my yap, I am introverted, especially back then.
Right.
I was pretty walled off and everything like that.
Easy answer.
Okay.
I love doing impressions, and that's what I started out as. And so I'm so thrilled to get up on stage and do the impressions that the nervousness doesn't even enter into it. Can I do my best impression?
What is?
Tony Soprano.
Get the fuck out of here. Up your ass.
Up your ass.
All the conversation I get around here reminds me of fucking dildo. You know what?
You got that
this is too fucked up for me even to think about. And I was walking on the Walk of Fame, and I stepped on Charlton Heston's star, and he went, "Get your stinking shoes off me, you damn dirty tourist."
Oh, damn.
And one more.
Where did you start?
I started out in Corning, New York. I was a disc jockey. I was a top 40 disc jockey.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. WEKT 98.5 FM, Hammondsport, Bath.
I started off in radio, college radio.
Oh, yeah?
I was, you're listening to 88.9 88.9 WERS Boston, a broadcast service of Emerson College. And before that, I was on 640 AM WECB, which only went to the dorms. and I had the 2 to 6 a.m. shift. There was nobody listening. Right. And I used to be, anybody has any requests? Like they were listening to me. And I remember at one point I was almost done with my shift, and I was just exasperated. And I finally just said, just call in. Just tell me you hate me. I don't care. Just something. And a thing lit up, and I picked it up, and this guy goes, I hate you.
Yeah, I got a couple of.
Then I hung up, and I sat there like thinking the whole world was listening. And he was actually the boyfriend of the girl that had the 6 a.m. shift. So they were just listening to hear if I was still on the radio.
Yeah, do you take requests? Yes, I do. Will you please leave town?
Yeah, I got all of that. I used to host the Jazz Oasis on WERS, and those fucking jazz fans were the worst. You'd ask for a request, they wouldn't request anything, and then I would play something, and then some old dude would call up, man, this isn't jazz. Who the fuck do this? It's just like, well, give me your request. I shouldn't have to. And then they would hang up on me, and I would be sitting there like, it was Charles Mingus. I thought I couldn't go wrong with that, but I picked one of those late 60s, early 70s where they completely just were playing like free form. And
yeah, I like that stuff.
It was, it gets too crazy. Let's talk about your book, though, that I cannot wait to read, because I already was going through this. There's Santarelli, Frank Santarelli, Mark Scalia.
Yeah,
these are guys. All I started out. Kenny Rogerson. You guys should know these names, by the way. And then you even had, because Chris Rock. You have all of these stories. I actually saw Bill Downs.
Yeah, Billy Downs.
Billy Downs. Shout out to Billy Downs. Gave me a lot of my first gigs. Dick Doherty, rest his soul.
It's a fun read. It's not comprehensive. It's not a history of stand-up comedy. It's not how to do stand-up comedy. It's not entirely a biography. It's not entirely about the Boston. It's all over the road, and there's a lot of I have stacks of index cards. That's partly how I maintained a level of quality in my act. Is always listen. Every show I ever did, I listened to.
You did?
Every show I ever did. Not in the last 10 years, but while I was, coming up, every show I listened to, and I'd stop and take notes and write them down on index cards, And some in the book, there's a lot of my index cards where I go word for word on the end, and then I translate it, because sometimes it's like it's in shorthand.
Yeah.
And so it's like notes from shows. Like, for example, I'll find an index card 98 on 89. That means it's 1998, and I'm listening to a show from 1989, and I'm making notes, and I'm going, you didn't have to snap at that crowd. You didn't have to snap at that heckler. He meant well. What the hell's wrong with you? This is
you talk to yourself like you're somebody else? Like you didn't have to do that? That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Wait, so in 1998, you went back and listened to
I have piles of tapes, and I always gain things from old shows. Like, hey, that's a breadcrumb that fell off the table.
Oh, yeah.
And also, if you have a joke that you did in 1989 and you're listening to it now on a very old tape, you go, if I brought that joke back now, word for word, didn't change a thing, I would do it 3 times better because of my experience.
I would pay to listen to tapes of stand-up, like real stand-up, not the shit that I saw on TV where everyone's doing their, their TV set, just to hear, just as a fan of stand-up. Like, how many hours? You must have like...
Oh, it's endless. And laughs are beautiful. And Lenny Bruce said this about you. You can't fake a laugh, Lenny Bruce said. If you tried to fake a laugh, they'd lock you up into a lunatic asylum. And
people notice, and you notice when it's a fake laugh.
But I thought about that, and ever since then, I went on a Lenny Bruce binge in the mid-'80s. I was going to the libraries before the internet. I'm printing out stuff from the New York Times. Mm-hmm. And ever since that day, I've been watching actors, and I've never seen an actor recreate a real laugh. Never, not even one. And every time I watch a movie or a TV show and an actor has to laugh, I'm like, this is painful. It's so fake. A laugh has a perfect rhythm, like the pistons of an engine. And whenever an actor is doing it, it's not even. It's uneven. It's the toughest thing. Actor once told me, anger is the easiest thing to do in the world as an actor.
Oh, that's my act.
Anger is... Not exactly. Not exactly. All right, let me swing around to another point I was starting on earlier.
Can we talk about the laughs, though? I'll tell you a laugh that's a legit laugh.
Yeah.
that I feel like the actor was improvising, so the other guy was laughing. It was Harvey Keitel and rest his soul, one of my favorite actors, Chris Penn. And they were sitting in the car, and he was telling this story about some Mexican guy, blah, 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 blah. And you could tell he was improvising, and everybody in the car, Buscemi, you could see they were really laughing. And what I loved about Chris Penn, he's just, you could just see like this guy knows how to tell a story. Like he's just like, like an oak tree, like rooted in the ground, and you're just like drawn in. There's been a couple of those. Another Harvey Keitel one is if you watch Thelma and Louise. I always forget the guy's name. The guy who plays Daryl in that. When he's like, what? Wait, what? Like Harvey Keitel is just laughing. Like he can't control himself.
Right, if the person has a quirky laugh that comes out easily, they can do it in a movie. But
I know what you're saying.
Okay, now he says something, and they always laugh too soon. Drives me out of my mind. You haven't even heard the entire punchline, but as an actor, you're supposed to laugh, and they laugh before.
That might be the editor, though. It might not be the comedian because they condense it. Because I'll tell you what
no, but I mean in real time, I see it all the time.
Okay.
They just laugh too soon. But let me finish. I was worried about not liking you because, no, seriously. But I knew I dug you initially, but I didn't know what you would become. See, I live under a rock. I'm reading history books all day.
I live under a rock too, believe it or not.
But I don't know who's famous. Most of the comedians today, I don't know who they are. Actors, most of the. But as far as comedians go, amongst all the greats, there's only 25% of them that I like. Most of them I don't like. It seems most of the comedians love all the other comedians, and I don't. I'm easily pissed off by stuff that I think is hacky or vicious or mean. There's an intangible there's like a spirituality to a person's act. Is this person just trying to be funny? Is it mean-spirited? And everyone was talking about you saying, oh, yeah, he's angry. He's angry. He's got this fuck you attitude. He reminds me a little bit of you, Mike. He's got this fuck you attitude. So I wasn't sure what I was going to find. And so I watched you, and I was moved because you are not just angry. You're nice. You are everybody's friend. There's something intangible about you where you're mean and nasty, but you're also kind and you're reaching out.
I'm more defensive than angry, but people just hear me yelling.
There's something really nice about you.
I appreciate that. I'm not good at taking compliments, but I appreciate
your
that.
stand-up, it's very rare to be edgy and nice at the same time. I'm not sure I have ever pulled that off. I'm a little edgy. I'm not sure if...
Well, I will tell you that I don't want anybody leaving not having a good time. Sometimes if you just bring up a topic, like there's no way to please people. Like I did this thing for Netflix, Friends Who Kill, and I went up there and I was just doing like topical stuff because I was like, well, this stuff isn't going to live long enough for my next special, so I'll do some of this stuff. And I did something about some kid that shot a gun or whatever, and like the level of, he killed 2 people or whatever, and the level of people saying how unfunny I was like, no, but I realized that it was like because I made fun of something that they were into. Like they thought I was going after, what amendment is it with the guns? Is it the 2nd?
Yeah.
5th? I always forget. Plead the 5th.
5th, I forget.
Who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
The 2nd Amendment. And it's just like, I don't give a shit. I like guns. I don't care if you have a gun, but this particular guy was an idiot. So I was making fun of him, and you get to those people who just can't, they're so... that they were like, that was quite possibly the most unfunny 6 minutes of my life. And that's when I started to realize, like, of your life, you're old enough to remember 9/11. 9/11 was more enjoyable than my 6 minutes on this fucking jerk-off with a gun. All right. So, but it bothered me because I don't want people to do that. I want people, like what I loved about Richard Pryor was when he made fun of white people, he did it in a way that got me to laugh at myself, which made me open to what he was saying.
Sure.
Where if somebody came the other way, like that, I would always be like, all right, this guy hates white people, fuck you, I'm not listening to you. So I try to do it like Do you remember there was a period of time in stand-up where walking the crowd was like this badge of honor?
Right.
And I never understood that. I was like, well, once they leave, the fun's over.
Right.
Like the game is to annoy them, but still keep them on the hook
It
so
once
they
in a
stay.
blue moon, Ray Garvey, who used to book in Atlantic City, he said, any comic that doesn't walk a table now and then isn't a real comic as far as I'm concerned, which is a great statement, but it's essential that the phrase now and then is in there. You don't want to consistently walk people. But once in a blue moon, somebody should go, I never.
Right.
You know.
But that's another thing, too. It's like, what's wrong with just being silly?
Oh, of course.
I've really come into this new period of enjoying. I've always loved silly, but like I find that if you add silliness to a really serious topic, it's like magic.
Yeah.
Like you're just being like domestic violence. The other night I was talking about it, and I was just being over the top, silly and sexist, but it was so fucking silly that everybody could laugh about
and it breaks the tension. Like my newest joke, I might never do it, is I'm not going to mass anymore. I'm sick of all these mass shooting. I'm afraid.
Right. So. I don't know if that one would work.
It might not.
I feel like people get the mass shooting thing is.
It depends on the crowd. If you're working a rough crowd, they don't care. And Boston's pretty
right.
You know.
Well, so this is, you know what I like about this book already is you're telling me that I can kind of basically just, even if I, like with my ADD, I could just jump around.
It's totally browsable. There's no essential grand motive to it. And, you know, there's no grand theme. It's just comedy, collection of biographies. Like I call it the Michaelopedia of stand-up comedy, but there's a ton of people that aren't in there. It's just, I enjoy writing.
What year did you start?
My first show was in 1975 at Wet Goods in Corning, New York. I did an hour and 20 minutes.
1975.
Yeah, but
what was the scene like back then?
There was no scene. There was Catch a Rising Star in New York, and I went down there to try to do it down there.
So you went on that's like the famous one, and then everybody would hang out at the Green Kitchen or something like that on the East Side. I always heard about that place.
I don't remember that one. But the guy that was the coolest guy in the world to all the comedians was Richard Belzer.
Is that right?
He was the king of comedy as far as we were all concerned. He hosted open mics at Catch a Rising Star, and he'd be on stage 4 hours. He brought me up on stage, and he stood there working the crowd while I was standing next to him. Like he hadn't even mentioned my name yet. But if it was anyone else, I would have been insulted. I didn't care. I'm standing next to Richard Belzer. He was the king.
Richard.
He was the king of comedy.
I remember like 30 years ago when he booked that procedural show that he has like the record for being on TV like the longest time in a row or something like that, longest years in a row. I remember him standing there going, yeah, they're offering me this thing. You guys think I should do it? He was joking around. Obviously, he was going to do it. So I always feel cool like I was like I saw him right before he got that what show is that? I never. Law and
Order?
Law and Order.
Oh, it is. He's on one of the Law and Orders, right? And then I remember seeing, what was it, Jimmy Fallon. We were at the Tempe Improv, and it was right when he got the Tonight Show, and he was doing stand-up, to get ready to do like monologues and stuff like that. And I remember talking to him as he was like trying to get his head around the fact that he was the new host of the Tonight Show. That's one of my favorite things about being in this business is to be there right before you see, a friend of yours or someone you admire blow up like that. And
I used to hang out with Stephen Wright when he was working in Cambridge, and just to see what happened to him was wonderful. For the most part, the best people do get the best breaks, I think, But it's not an accident. They happen to be the best people. But occasionally there's a dick that goes far, but most of the people that go far are nice, and that's part of why they went far.
Right. But what I like about you and Stephen Wright is I relate to you guys in that despite what you do for a living, you like your alone time.
Oh, yeah.
And like I talked to Stephen Wright one time. I can't even believe I got to talk to him. And he was telling me how much he likes to be alone, that he actually called the post office to see if he could legally stop getting mail. Like, this is how much he doesn't
really?
want to get bugged.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, sir, you have to have a legal address. And like, I don't know if it's being around crowds and all of that stuff, that after a while you kind of love that alone time. And I keep having like this reoccurring dream, like not like I'm a sleep dream, but just of having a house in the middle of nowhere and just sitting on the porch with like a cup of coffee or a cigar and just not having anything to do or anybody to talk to. Obviously, my wife and kids are there.
Right.
And just like hanging out with them.
Simple living.
Yes. Yes, which is why I can't relate to a lot of the, capitalism was always selling you that you needed the next thing. But like nowadays, like that whole, grinding 24/7 and, money never sleeps and all of that shit. It's just like, that is not a road, from how I'm wired, that's not going to be a road to happiness, walking around wearing some chinchilla coat and never having any free time. Like, I don't understand like what the purpose of that is, but I got so much out of guys like you when I was coming up, and I really cannot wait to read this book. And you've always been like one of the great guys to have a conversation with when I got over. You're a very intimidating guy, man. Well, what it is you're quiet and introverted. So what happens is if you're an insecure person, you immediately go like, oh, he's not talking to me because he doesn't like me. Because I was quiet and introverted, and people used to look at me going like, people think you're aloof. And that was the funniest thing to me. It's like, because you don't talk to, when I first came in, I was really shy, especially in New York. I was scared. And, I remember saying, people think you're aloof. And it's just like, if they realized that when I was sitting over the corner not talking to them because I was questioning everything I did in the last 7 minutes of my life, it was something I had to learn.
I'll tell you how quiet. I've never told this story. I did a show in Pennsylvania. I think it was Scranton. It was one of those old cities. And it's Friday night, and I did good on Friday night. It's first time at the club. And after the show, they came up to me, shook me. You were great. He says, we were thinking about firing you. I'm like, what? He says, we were talking to the management down in New York City, and we thought you were so quiet that you couldn't possibly. They weren't joking.
Yeah.
They were discussing it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon whether to have me replaced, just based on the fact that I was that quiet, sitting in the corner reading a history book.
Oh my God.
Like, and I didn't say anything, but inside I was thinking, you fucking assholes. You didn't even give me a chance. And then I was in gold because I did good on stage.
Right.
I light up on stage and I'm pretty quiet off stage. Unless I'm watching the Three Stooges or somebody I think is hilarious, I can get a phone call from the hotel management. You got to keep the laughing down.
Right.
Because it's not like I don't have a sense of humor, but I have a high standard for what's funny.
You know what that reminds me of? One time I had a gig, and I was living in L.A. the first time, and it was I was playing Atlantic City, and the plane was late. I landed in Newark, and I got a rental car, and I was one of my first headlining gigs. And I'm driving like a madman to get down there, and I make it down there just in time. And I come walking in, I say to the guy, hey, so-and-so, Bill Burr, I'm the headliner. And he goes, oh. He's like, you look nervous.
Yeah, right.
And it's just like, and I just immediately just felt what little energy I had drained out of me. And I was just thinking like, I have to work for this fucking cunt all weekend. But I was old enough that I knew, I was like, this guy is miserable. And this has nothing to do, I was just starting to learn that. But this is the thing, I still needed his approval. And he never quite gave it to me.
Really?
The whole weekend. Yeah, so the whole weekend, I just felt like he was leaning on me. And, those casino gigs are not easy gigs when you first start, because it's this sort of cross-population. If you're not used to doing the road, your act's going to be a little regional, and then also very age-appropriate. I was a young guy in my 20s, and these people, had just lost money, and they were in their 50s.
Yeah, why don't you smile more? Put a hidden camera on me. You leave the room, I'll brighten right up.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you fuck off for a minute? Unfortunately, look at that. We're coming to the end of I can talk for like another.
I also have a Lenny Bruce book I've written. I
was going to ask you if you wrote one, because I didn't realize, like, I knew that guy was great, obviously, but like he did this bit on Jackie Kennedy.
Oh, yeah, that was great. She wasn't trying to help the Secret Service man aboard. She was hauling ass to save her ass, just like anybody else. And I wouldn't want my wife to have to live up to that standard, because it's all bullshit.
Right, and he did that in, like, the beginning of '64. Like, that literally happened in November, and 6 months later, he was already making jokes about it. And to hear him do it and actually hear people laughing was... it was one of those great things where you're like, well, people really haven't changed, because that's the kind of thing that somebody, back in the day, the Comedy Cellar, when I was down there, and I would watch all these great comics like Louis and all of them, like Colin would have a bit about that. Like, I remember Colin, like, he had the best fucking 9/11 joke of how people were trying to be like, sort of like, make it seem like they were almost in the towers. And each example got more and more ridiculous. Like, somehow they would, like, literally, like, they couldn't set their ego aside. I'm totally butchering it, but they had to make even 9/11 had to be about them. And he was doing that, like, on, like, September 20th or whatever, like 9-10 days after it happened, and he was killing with it. And there's a thing where you watch comedians from way back then. Take My Wife Please, and you see that, you just think it's all this. You didn't realize that, like, no, there was guys. Lenny, Red Fox, and all these guys were just slinging it the same way people do it now. You just could not get on TV saying stuff. There was no HBO, but, like, people were joking about that stuff, and you had, like, no idea. His stuff on, like, homosexuality and all of that stuff he did live at Carnegie Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going,
but he
like,
had silly. But that's
tremendously silly.
But the Dustin Hoffman movie and that awful book by Albert Goldman and a lot of these documentaries, they might be loving documentaries, and they're taking this heavyweight meaning to what he was to society and everything. But they forget about how silly he was. And even before CDs, I had made this cassette tape, The Best of Lenny Bruce, my homemade selections.
Like your mixtape of Lenny Bruce.
And I handed it to comedians all the time. I was like the Lenny Bruce Johnny Appleseed. I would hand it to comedians. And I swear, every time the comic would come back to me 2 months later and say, Mike, I never realized how fucking funny he is.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Because people are so focused on the seriousness of his life story and how he defied society and redefined this and that. And there's a lot of truth to all of that. But he was also hilarious. And people don't realize just how fucking funny
and his stuff stands up. Like
oh, big time.
The Carnegie Hall, he kind of screws around for like the first 10 minutes. But right around 10, 11 minutes, when he goes into his act, like, I was listening, and you forget that it was, I mean, that was in the 50s or 60s that he did that. I can't remember when he did it, but this is back when I had I had a CD player in my car, and I popped it in, and I was like, wow, like, this guy's stuff was still contemporary. Woody Allen, comedian, was another one that was still, like, contemporary. And I think it's because those guys were, like, talking about life in, like, an honest way. It really is amazing. But dude, I so enjoyed having you on the podcast, and all these years I've known you, I actually got to know you even better, like, knowing that you're a history buff and all of that, and I got to get those World War II books.
I'm on Mike Donovan's bookstore on Facebook. That's the only place I promote myself, with an apostrophe. Mike Donovan's bookstore on Facebook.
DONOVAN, and the name of the book is The Stand-Up Comedy Book. And
it's a good read. That's all it is. It's just it's for people who like to. If you don't like to read, don't buy the book. It's for readers. Seriously,
it's a book.
It's not for people that just don't like to read and think, I love stand-up comedy. I'll read.
Yeah.
If you appreciate good writing, I'm a pretty good writer.
I think you're an excellent writer, and I can't wait to read this. Mike, it was an absolute honor to have you on the podcast. It was an honor to open for you and learn from you.
I'm a big fan of you now after watching you last time. When I get back to Boston, I'm going to watch all your specials because I just simply want to enjoy myself.
Well, can you just? I'm worried that you're going to watch the older ones and think I stink.
I'll probably like them better. than the newer ones.
All right.
All right, thank you.
So great to see you. The stand-up comedy book, Mike Donovan. He also has World War II. What do you?
Who's Who in World War II?
Who's Who Civil War?
Who's Who in the Civil War, and Who's Who in Russian history.
Russian history.
They're all about 100,000 words long. They're fairly big books.
How many pages?
350, 400. They're big books.
Well, I want to read the Russian history because I know they whacked that family and they finally found him. Right? They buried him, didn't they?
Well, the best story about that is the girls. They kept shooting them, and they wouldn't die, and they didn't understand when they were. And it turned out when they examined the body, they had all the family jewels hidden in their corsets. So these are the kind of stories.
That's the best part of the book.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
There's a lot of good stories in there about Russian history.
Yeah,
You will love that book.
All right. The Who's Who of Russian.
And the 12-font version is called Mike Donovan's People of Russian History, and the e-book is called Who's Who in Russian History.
All right. Well, you are an absolutely amazing comedian and a fascinating guy to talk to. I can't wait to read this. And when I go from this, I'm going to Russian. And I'll pump all that on the podcast. Anytime you're out here or anytime I'm back in Boston, if you want to come back on the podcast.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah.
Great to have your respect, sir.
Right back at you. Mike Donovan, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the Thursday afternoon, just before Friday, Monday morning podcast. Have a great weekend, you cunts. Hey, what's going on? It's Bill Burr, and it's the Monday morning podcast for Monday, January 26, 2015. What's going on? How are you? How's it going? I am doing this at about 10:41 p.m. Monday night in Perth, Australia. Sorry, you guys are going to have to deal with my awful Australian accent. And also the shitty recording thing that I'm going to use this week because I was not lugging my fucking mixer all the way over here. I remember I had a flash. I was packing up the mixer. And last time I was in Australia, I remember I plugged in the mixer and it got all shorted out, even though I had the thing to the adapter, whatever the fuck you call it. Anyways, I'm in a fucking hotel room right now, and it's gross. I'm in a gross fucking hotel room right now. I don't even know where to begin to describe. First of all, the little fucking round coffee table, I had to wipe the whole thing down from the sticky drinks from the last time. And then the rug is just like, I'm trying to find an area of the rug that isn't stained. Overrated, everybody. The Hyatt. The fucking Hyatt. I remember when I was a kid, the fucking Hyatt, even like a Hilton, was considered nice. Now, granted, I grew up in a family that, a number of times a month, we had chip beef on toast or chicken a la king for dinner. The scalloped potatoes and ham. This is before the Food Network, so whatever the fuck recipes were handed down or were on the back of a fucking Rice Krispie box, that's what you ate. Ever think about some of the shit you had? Ugh. We had this fucking goulash, Hungarian goulash. That was actually good. Then we had this other shit. My mother used to put these fucking noodles in it. And one day my older brother told me they were actually worms. And every time I went to eat it, I'd be like fucking gagging. My mother didn't give a shit. She'd make me finish it. I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, whatever. But back in the day, a Hyatt and a Hilton were nice. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't think they've bought a rug, much less shampooed one. Every time I'm thinking I'm staying at the Hyatt, I always thought, the Hyatt, this is going to be great. It's still stuck in my head. Like way back in the fucking day. This place is a shithole. Anyways, but I am excited to be out here. This is the furthest into Australia that I've ever been. Nice 14-hour flight to Sydney. And then we landed and fucking went into a hotel, hung out for part of the day, and then I had to do some big talk show. I don't even remember the name of it. I'm so fucking jet-lagged. It was weird. It's weird. This is how we taped the thing. I went down into a conference room in the hotel, and they had me sitting in the room, and then in another room they had the camera that I just look into and talk.
And that person in there was in a room with the light shut out. So I looked like some crazy person when my wife came in, because I was sitting there with the light on me, talking into a dark room and trying to be pleasant. But it was actually a really fun show. I wish I could have done it live. So anyway, so I'll be letting you guys know my fucking adventures over here as I go. Like I said, I'm starting off here in Perth. I believe the next night is in Melbourne, however the fuck you say it. And then Brisbane, and then Sydney, and then I'm done. That's going to take a week. And then I'm over to New Zealand, then up to Singapore, Hong Kong, and then fucking Mumbai, India. Then over to New York to go do the Patrice O'Neill benefit. So there you go. That's going to be my goddamn week. All right. What the fuck can I talk about? Other than just being on a goddamn plane for the last fucking day of my life. Where do we begin? Did anything happen this week? I don't know if you guys saw this week. I was on the Bill Maher show. I don't think I've ever felt so dumb in my life. You know what I felt like when I was on Bill Maher's show? I felt like if I went on ESPN and I didn't watch sports. That's what it felt like. Everybody throwing out these fucking stats. It was like fantasy football, except they were talking about terrorism or jails or something. I don't even know. Did the Larry Wilmore show, too. First one. Had a great time on that one. And that was another one. This politician from New Jersey was just firing out these fucking stats. 85% of black males, they don't have enough toothpicks in their life. And, if you're a white male, you got plenty of them. And everybody nodding and agreeing. I had no fucking idea what anybody was talking about. And you're probably saying, well, Bill, you know you're dumb. You know you're not, a meet the press kind of fucking person, either on a real or a fake news show. Why the fuck would you go do those gigs? Because, everybody, I am promoting a movie that comes out January 30th called Black or White. That stars Kevin Costner, Octavia Spencer, and was written by Mike Binder and directed by Mike Binder. And had a great time working on that thing. And, the classic Hollywood didn't want to make it. Kevin Costner loved the story. He's worked with Mike Binder before on a movie called Upside of Anger, and Costner said, fuck it, we're going to make this movie, and he ended up putting up his own money. So, if you have the time, and you have, 20 or 30 close friends, if you could drag them out to the local Cineplex and buy a ticket, watch it legally and that type of thing, that would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. It's called Black or White. I actually play a lawyer. I play Kevin Costner's lawyer. Anthony Mackie's in it. I mean, come on. And soon-to-be star Jillian Estelle is in it. I mean, it's a veritable who's who, except for me. Somehow I snuck in there. Should I tell the story? Bill, how did you get the part in that movie? You know what? The Conan O'Brien show. I was on Conan running my yap, and Mike Binder had a friend who was watching it, said, hey, you got to see this guy. This guy's funny. Binder watched it and said, hey, you know what? That's the guy. That's Rick Reynolds. And I didn't even have to audition for it. And I fucking went out to New Orleans when we shot it. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into as far as, I'm trying to think when I even read the fucking thing. When I even read the script. I think I read it as I was flying out there. Because that's where I am in this business. If you say I have a movie, I say yes before you even tell me what it's about. Speaking of which, I had another one that came out. I actually did a Zombievers. It's a movie about beavers that turned into zombies. Okay, and if that doesn't get your ass off the couch, I don't think anything will. People try to give me shit about that movie. Like, Zombievers, what the fuck's up? Like, we didn't know that it was a joke going into it. A friend of mine, Jordan Rubin, I used to do stand-up with him like 20 fucking years ago in New York, called me up and said, hey, Bill, I'm doing this movie. It's fucking over the top. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. So I was wondering if you would just do one scene in it. And I said yes. And I did a scene with somebody else who's in disguise, who's actually super famous. And I'm actually hearing really good things about that thing. But fucking radio guys like to break my balls about it. Like I called up WBCN in Boston, Toucher and Rich show, morning show. Toucher was breaking my balls about it. You know, people see it. It's a red flag. You know, you got a movie called Zombievers. They start looking at you like, Bill, did you blow a guy in this? Did you do a little bit of porn? But whatever. So those are the two. But Black or White comes out January 30th. I know I'm whoring myself out right out of the gate, but if you guys could go see it, it'd be really, really important. It's a great movie, great story. And a lot of these kinds of movies don't get made anymore because nobody pays for movies anymore, which is why movies either have like a fucking $500,000 budget or $500 million, because they're either like not going to invest a lot of money anymore, or they're going to try to make something like those Transformer superhero fucking movies, because they're betting on the fact that you're going to be like, well, I got to go see that at the theater. I don't know. I don't know how the whole fucking thing works out, but you know the deal. Everybody steals everything now. People put the fucking money up, so who knows what. So anyways, this is the Monday Morning Podcast. Let's see. What the fuck happened this week? Now, this is the off week. The fucking off week between the AFC and NFC championship games and the Super Bowl. So, you know, there's never anything to talk about. So this week they had the whole stupid Deflategate thing, which I don't even really want to talk about. It was so fucking stupid. You know what I mean? It was almost like ESPN should have got sued or whatever. You know, you're not supposed to cry, like you're not supposed to yell fire in a crowded movie theater. That's literally what they were doing. It was the stupidest. The Colts lost by 38 goddamn points. You know what's funny? Some guy on ESPN, one of those science guys, actually, did this whole scientific experiment thing to see if I'll actually post this video, and I always say this, but this time I actually will, to see if it was an advantage. It actually turned out to be a slight disadvantage. The ball got there like a split second later, and they said it was enough for a defender to get a fingertip more in the way of the path of the ball. I mean, it was so fucking stupid. I swear to God, man, I'm trying to come up with a theory here. I just think, generally speaking, people are sick of the Patriots and they fucking hate Bill Belichick. And I know right now that you guys are going to roll your eyes and whatever. I understand that you're like, well, this guy's a fucking Patriots fan. I don't want to hear it. But well, just hear me out here. This is what I love about Bill Belichick, is even in the press conference after the game and the press conference before his next game, that's already part of his game plan. Everybody always sits there and they talk about how he's so boring. I listen to these fucking idiots on sports radio. They try to say that he's a joyless man because he just goes up there and they'd be like, hey, you got Seattle coming up. You know, well, what do you think about them? Yeah, you guys are favored. Do you think you can beat them? And he'll just be like, oh, you know, they're a great team. And gotta work cut out for ourselves. He would do that if you were playing like the fucking Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, they're a great team, and it's going to be a tough game. Gotta work cut out for ourselves. He knows what he's doing, okay? Because the sports media, they're lazy. They're pieces of shit, and they fucking take whatever you say, and they only fucking take a clip of it, and they twist it around, and it's bulletin board material for the other team, or it creates a fucking controversy and a distraction in the locker room, so he gives them nothing. So they don't like him. So they're looking to take the piss out of him. You know who the media loves? They love a guy like Rex Ryan, who's going to fucking come up and just be like, we're going to win the Super Bowl. I wrote it on a bus, right? Right there. Rex Ryan will write 16 articles for you in one press conference. He's going to give you your whole fucking season. And as a writer, you don't even have to work. You just put your feet up. All right, either he does it, and he's like Babe Ruth calling the home run shot, or he fails, and we get to take the piss out of him. Done. Bill Belichick gives him nothing. He makes him fucking work. He makes him actually watch the goddamn game. That was the biggest non-fucking story I've ever heard. And, I'm over here. I went on NewYorkPost.com, and I saw how Richard Sherman was kind of mentioning, trying to suggest that we have this fucking special relationship with the commissioner. I love how people just can't see the dirtbag shit that they're doing. Do you know the Seattle Seahawks have had the most people test positive for performance-enhancing drugs since 2011, including Richard Sherman, who also tested positive. And then he said, oh, it was a banned substance, and I took a sip off of another player's drink. You know what I mean? And I sipped it. I didn't know it was in there. So he got out of it. Now, I'm going to choose to believe him. Okay? If I can choose to believe him, why can't he give us the fucking benefit of the doubt? Really? That's why it's in there? You took a sip of your buddy's drink? Who? Fucking Mr. Blonde? Who then did the time for you? And he did it like a man. He's going to come in here and decide out of the fucking blue. Give me a fucking break. Okay? Seattle Seahawks with their goddamn stadium that makes their crowd sound louder than it is. Is that cheating? Your own fucking coach who got busted so bad in the NCAA, they actually took a championship away from the guy. And this is the fucking thing. I'm not a Seahawks fan, and I don't give a fuck about any of that shit. I don't give a shit if Richard Sherman was hurt and he did a fucking cycle to get through it. I don't give a fuck. I think they ought to be able to do it. I said that on Bill Maher. Fucking NFL players ought to be able to take steroids, and they ought to be able to smoke weed after the fucking game. They ought to be able to heal up their bodies and fucking, smoke a little weed, take away some of the pain. And there's actually arguments out there that saying the medicinal purposes of the fucking drug could actually, combat Alzheimer's, and there's new studies saying that. I don't know if it's fucking true, but I just think if you're going to, beat the shit out of your body, these fucking Adonises that with two fingers could throw me across the room in their 20s and in their 40s couldn't fucking beat me in a foot race, across a fucking hotel lobby. I mean, I just feel like these guys, the damage that they do to their bodies, it shortens their lives and the quality of life that they're going to have when they are alive. I really think that they ought to be able to, steroids, it's almost like medicine. I don't know. That's just my feeling. And hey, you want to build a fucking stadium that makes your crowd louder than it is? That's not against the rules, but it's kind of a what the fuck, considering that Seattle was unbeatable at home and was pretty fucking human on the road for a couple of years now. I still don't even give a shit about that. And as far as that Pete Carroll breaking all those fucking rules to the point that they took away a Heisman Trophy and a national championship, old sneaky Pete, fucking sitting there telling Mark Sanchez that he was leaving college too soon, and then all of a sudden the NCAA's at the front door and he sneaks out the back door like a fucking rat and abandons all those goddamn kids that he told when they signed their scholarships that he wasn't fucking going anywhere. He saved his own ass and he ran out the back fucking door. And you know what? That's Division I college football. That's how it's fucking done. I don't give a fuck. I look at Pete Carroll like he got caught. He might have been a little worse or a little less. Who the fuck knows? But it's just the way it works. It's the way it fucking works. So the same way your defensive back grabs a handful of jersey and then the announcers go, hey, if you can get away with it, good for you. It's the same fucking thing. So you got all that shit going on. This is what kills me. Seattle's actually going to be riding into the Super Bowl wearing the white hat, which is fucking hilarious to me. Because they're just as filthy as anybody else, including the fucking Patriots. Give me a fucking break. Do you realize these people who actually sit there and call the Patriots cheaters, do you realize that your entire fucking argument is based on Eric Mangini and fucking Jim Irsay? Okay? Not exactly the most upstanding citizens. I know I've talked about Jim Irsay before, but I'll talk about the guy again. That guy could not beat the fucking Patriots. His team could not beat the Patriots 10 years ago. We fucking manhandled his receivers during this game. He bitched about it. Peyton Manning bitched about it to the refs after the game. The refs were like, whatever, it was legal. The fucking Pro Bowl comes along. Peyton Manning is still bitching about it. After the Super Bowl, Irsay and they make a fucking tape and they send it to the league, and the league goes, the Patriots did nothing wrong. That is legal. Jim Irsay sat on the rules committee, and the very next year, the way the Patriots were covering the fucking Colts was now suddenly illegal. And after 5 yards, you couldn't touch him, and you just had to escort him down the field. And they had Peyton Manning in his prime. Well, guess what? the Colts beat the Patriots, and then they won a Super Bowl. Is that cheating? Is that gamesmanship? And as far as the Spygate thing goes, there was a league-wide memo telling everybody to stop doing it. Okay? To stop having a fucking cameraman standing down there on the sidelines in front of all the fans. They told everybody to stop doing it. Eric Mangini fucking built his resume doing that shit. Oh, Jesus, somebody just rang the door. Am I going to get in trouble here? Whatever, so give me a fucking break. So the Patriots get caught, and then all of a sudden they question their entire fucking legacy. Oh, and then meanwhile, we go off and win like fucking 13 games every goddamn year for the rest of the fucking time. And then people are like, well, you didn't win a Super Bowl. And it's like, oh yeah, that has nothing to do with our defense. That has to do with the fact that we weren't fucking filming people. Give me a goddamn break. Because I'll tell you this right now, if just filming the other team got you a goddamn dynasty, every fucking team in the league would still be doing it. They'd be just doing it right up from the coach's box. There's no camera with a zoom on it. And if you think people aren't fucking doing that now, stealing goddamn signs, absolutely they are. Hang on a second, there's somebody here. Hold on. Hello? Oh, hey, room service? All right. Set it down right there.
Why should I put the tray for you?
You just put it right there on the table. Right here. This table.
Okay.
Yeah, beautiful. Sorry about that. There you go. You like that? That was actual room service. Captured on a podcast. So whatever. All you guys out there, all you Patriot haters, you can run all you guys can run your mouths all you want. I don't give a fuck. Okay? Your team's doing shit too. Okay? I love how only we get questioned about that stuff. The Saints were taking out bounties on other players. Does anybody question their Super Bowl title? I don't. You know? Did you guys see Fran Tarkenton losing his mind? He's still talking about Super Bowl IX. When he showed up and he talked to his lineman, was it Stu Voigt? Is that was the guy's name? It's like a Hall of Famer. And he's looking over at the Steelers and he's looking at the Vikings and he just goes, how come they're so much bigger than we are? It turns out later, like 90% of them were on roids, including Terry Bradshaw, who admitted that he was on roids. Does anybody question the fucking Super Steelers of the 70s? No. So go fuck yourself if you're going to be sitting here talking about goddamn balls that weighed like fucking half a fucking, whatever the fuck it was, that minute. Unbelievable. Deflate gate. And by the way, can we stop putting gate at the end of everything? That was funny in like the 1980s with the Iran-Contra, and somebody called it Iran Gate. And ever since then, everything is gate. It's just like fucking hacks. Come up with a better goddamn joke. So there you go, everybody. All you fucking cunts who are on Twitter and you're trying to say that, the Patriots are a bunch of cheaters. I see through everything that you're saying. You're saying you're sick of losing to us. Well, get used to it because Tom Brady still has another 3-4 years left. Now, can we get on to talking about the Super Bowl? Which is arguably the greatest fucking matchup going. Oh, I made a fucking great point about the Patriots-Colts thing. Hang on a second. Another fucking stain on the goddamn table. Sorry, man. I gotta clean this fucking table. This goddamn. This is fucking gross. Fucking gross. Anyways, it's gonna be a great goddamn game. Seattle should be favored, but every mouth-breathing moron in Vegas is going to see Brady and Belichick, so they put their money over there. So then Vegas has got to adjust the line to get money on both sides of the ball. It's the same old fucking story, but I actually like that this whole stupid deflated footballs things came out. I think that's going to work to our advantage. Maybe if we played this Sunday. I think by next Sunday it's going to be pretty much fucking over. I'll be looking for some silly, stupid signs from dumb fans all painted in green. The Seattle fans will have signs talking about the Patriots like they're cheaters, and at no point will it dawn on them why they don't sound even remotely as loud in a different stadium. They'll blame it on the fact that half the place is filled with fucking Patriots fans. Well, do the math. You should at least be half as loud as you are in your stadium, which you're not going to be. Because down there in Arizona, it's just a regular old stadium. So there you go. That's my whole take on that type of thing. And here's the deal. If we play the fucking Super Bowl and Seattle beats us and they do some dumb shit like fucking deflate the ball a little bit, and we lose by 38, Okay, give me a fucking break. I will sit there and be like, wow, the Seattle Seahawks just kicked our fucking ass. That's what I would say. But, that's not how the fucking world works, is it? When you got fucking 24-hour sports channels. It was a fucking lead story on CNN. Give me a fucking break. So, anyways, what do I think about the Super Bowl? I have no I mean, I think on paper, the fucking Seahawks win. I think defense wins championships, as they always say, and they have the better defense. And a monster defense. I love their defense. I think, and I think it's way easier to shut down the Patriots' offense than it is to beat Seattle's defense. And I think our defense is good, but it's not as good as Seattle's. And when I look at it, I just feel like that's going to be the difference. We're not good at stopping the run, and they have Marshawn Lynch. And Russell Wilson is obviously looking pretty human after the last game, but I mean, maybe he just had a bad game. But that guy's mobile as hell. And so we're obviously, as all teams, we're going to have one guy just sitting there, babysitting him the entire fucking game. But they don't have the greatest receivers. I don't know. But I still, we can't get any pressure on the quarterback. I swear to God. So I don't know. I just think on paper we lose. But for some reason, I have a good feeling. For some reason, I think we're going to win. That's probably just me as a Patriots fan. But this is really a Super Bowl I have no fucking idea. I have no idea about. But I got this feeling that it's going to be a classic. I really hope it is. I don't want to see a boring one. But here's the thing. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to see it live. I think I'll be live. We'll do it live. I think I'm actually be flying to New Zealand when the fucking game is on. And it's a 5-hour flight. They better have some fucking TVs on there. Man, I screwed up booking this fucking tour when I did. How the fuck did I know the Pats were going to be in the goddamn Super Bowl? Remember that? When they lost to the fucking Chiefs? Now everybody's acting like they didn't fucking say that they were done. I was convinced they were done. I thought, I just felt like, we just kept getting rid of veterans. Didn't want to pay their last contract, and we just were getting slowly weaker by the season. I totally bought into it, so I'm as surprised as anybody that were there. So that's it. I won't talk anymore about that shit. So anyways, I'm over here in Australia, and today, lo and behold, is Australia Day. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. If it's their Independence Day. I don't know I don't know a fucking thing about Australia. I know they have a very similar history to the United States in that, they had some Englishmen come over here, right? And then there was people already here, so that was a problem. And they dealt with it in a way that centuries later, musicians and shit with guilt would write songs, didn't they? Out where the river broke, right? The time has come. You remember that guy? He said the time has come to say fair's fair, to pay the rent, to pay our share. And then in the end, let's give it back. Wow, wow, wow. Give what back? The fucking land? And then what, you're going to displace fucking 9 million people? How many fucking people in this country? It's over. It's a terrible thing that happened. Just give them casinos like we did, and you get on with your lives. So anyways, I have no idea what Australia Day is. I could probably look it up here for you. If you want to, you already heard room service. You want to listen to me fucking type here? Anyways, they celebrate Australia. I got to think that they could have come up with a better fucking name than Australia Day. Hey, it's USA Day. It's not attached to anything. But whatever, I got to respect it. Everybody gets a day off, which is great. And on a Monday, which is even better, so you get a 3-day fucking weekend. And then everybody kind of boozes it up. We got out here to Perth. You know what I saw? 2 fucking El Camino-looking cars that I haven't seen, it wasn't made by Chevrolet. But what was fucking hilarious is that both people were fucking kind of doing burnouts and driving like assholes. So it's nice to see that made me feel like I was home. Oh, like a guy with a ratty haircut driving a fucking El Camino looking car. All right, here we go. Australia Day is the official national day. See, that's how I read. My fucking brain is ahead of my goddamn mouth. Australia Day. Australia Day is the official national day of Australia. Celebrated annually on the 26th of January, it marks the anniversary of the 1788 arrival of the first fleet of British ships at Port Jackson, New South Wales, and raising of the flag of Great Britain at that site by Governor Arthur Phillip. By the way, that reference, do you have a flag? That's Eddie Izzard, who was actually on my flight. And I wanted to say hello to him because I'm a huge fan, but I don't know. I just felt like I was going to be bugging him, so I didn't. He's actually over here right now. Thank God not playing the same city that I'm playing, or I wouldn't have sold any tickets. In present-day Australia, celebrations reflect the diverse society and landscape of the nation. Nice! Nice! See how they wiggled their way out of that? Because I was just saying the indigenous people here must not be thinking January 26th was the great fucking day in their history. So now they've kind of moved it around. It's kind of, the diverse society that we live in. You know, we live indoors and you live outdoors in the outback. Or maybe you sit around playing a fucking didgeridoo on the street corner in Sydney. Family events, reflections on Australian history. Reflections on Australian history. Hey, we probably shouldn't have killed all those people. Official community. I'm not judging you guys, you Aussie people. Okay, we get the same fucking history and worse. Imagine if you did that and then you added slavery, and then you let a select group of people take over your food supply and turn it into poison. Right? And then everybody gets addicted, and then years later you yell at the fat people on a show called The Biggest Loser. You know what? They finally came out with a fucking article talking about how dangerous that show is. Me and Nia used to watch that all the time, and I used to sit there saying, they're going to fucking kill somebody. Somebody's going to die. I don't work out this hard ever in my fucking life. And, I'm not 400 pounds over fucking weight. But they did this whole article on it, talking about people fucking up their joints and having really, really bad problems and afterwards, and putting the weight back on, and the diets that basically the amount of calories that they give them is like really dangerous, and all the shit that you obviously knew when you watched the fucking show. But one of the funnier things was something I can't even fucking remember. What the fuck was I just thinking of? Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is the usual. Me out of my mind, and I'm beyond fucking jet lagged. Oh, I know. They said like really over the top mean stuff. Like, you're not going to see your daughter's 12th birthday. And as mean as that is, it's actually true though. You can't walk around. Some of the shit they were doing. There was one guy, I was actually jealous of him. You know, not that he was fat, but just the fact I would love to have done what he did. Every day he fucking had like 3/4 pounders with cheese and like 3 large fries for lunch and a giant Coke. You know, I know that you would feel like shit afterwards, but just think of how awesome that would be as you were consuming it. When you felt that rush of salt and sugar, just sending your mood and everything else through the fucking roof. That's one of those things where you just start rocking back and forth by the time you get into the third one. And you've already drinking half a gallon of soda. You start like humming songs that didn't even exist before, you know. It's a very creative point during that process before you just completely crash out. But anyways, how many minutes are we in here? Oh shit, 32 minutes. Okay, let me read a little bit of advertising. Who's getting it? Let me attempt to read here. You know what? The time has come to read the fucking advertisement. Where the hell is it? Live reads. All right, bam. Okay. 90%. Oh, MeUndies, no more sweaty balls, ba-doop, boop, boop. Hey, you know what? I'm actually wearing a pair right now. And I gotta tell you, they even work down under my fucking balls there. I could be a personal trainer. I mean, I couldn't the way I'm shaped right now, but I mean, I could do that fucking job. I think. I don't know, it'd be a fun job. And then you would stay in shape because, no one's going to go to a fat personal trainer. It'd be good motivation. All right, Vegas.com, unless you get some pussy. Did you see that fucking dude in the kayak that tipped over? Help me, I don't know what to do. You got to see this thing. If I can find it. Some woman taped her fucking friend. Water's filling up in the kayak. If I move, it sinks. I don't know what to do. This is an adult. Can you imagine trying to personal train that person? I can't imagine the amount of women out there that are personal trainers, right? To some fucking schlubby guy who fucking bitches and moans like that. That's got to be extra fucking awful for him. Just to sit there dealing with... if you got some whiny female client, I would think a whiny dude would be even worse. I don't know. Anyways, let me just move on here. Vegas.com, everybody. 10% off everything, excluding air hotel packages, using my code BURR, B-U-R-R. Vegas.com is the way to book Vegas. All right? They really do serve up Vegas from the inside because unlike the other travel sites, they're from Vegas. They live in Vegas, work in Vegas, party in Vegas. They give you insider tips on where to stay and what to do when you get there. Vegas.com's proprietary DropWatch tool promises the lowest rates on hotels. DropWatch continues to monitor the prices even after you book and notifies you of changes to ensure that you get the best deal. Book at the lower rate and they will refund you the difference. What? Book at the lower rate and they will refund you the difference. What do you mean? I'm booking at the lower rate. The difference of what? The higher price I was paying? Oh, Jesus. Vegas.com saves you money on shows, headliner shows, comedy, Penn and Teller, Ron White, Carrot Top, Cirque du Soleil. Vegas.com offers more VIP bottle service at top clubs. Oh, we're in the fucking VIP room over here. Cheap tickets, best strip clubs. Go to Vegas.com right now, and when you book hotels, shows, clubs, pick anything on the site that suits you. Enter my code BURR in the promo box and check out at checkout and get an extra 10% off everything but air hotel packages. That's Vegas.com. Get bonus savings with my secret code, BURR. I got to tell you guys, if you want some insider thing, they kind of alluded to it. Now they're getting away from it. But you can go out to Vegas and you can drive like a fucking Lamborghini or a Ferrari on a racetrack if you get off the strip. You also can go out there and you can shoot a fucking machine gun in the desert. Okay? Anybody can go and get some fake boobs rubbed in their fucking face, okay, as they drink a drink with the fucking umbrella in it. I'm not saying don't do that. All right? Definitely do that and have a good time. But, you should also be talking to her. Hey, Portia, I shot a machine gun today while riding in a Ferrari? You can do something like that. All right. My apologies for that awful fucking, just awful everything in general. Content. Where the hell is it? Come on, man. Come back to me. It's time for the content, and you won't show it to me. All right, here we go. Wait, was there anything else I want to talk about before I got into the emails? Before I got into the emails. You know what? When I was on the plane ride over, I actually, I watched that movie Lucy. That was a movie that I wanted to see in the theaters. It just kind of came and went. I didn't hear the greatest things about it. I got to tell you, for a rental, it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. You got that big pouty-lipped hotties. She's running around, whatever her fucking name is. Sebastian Bach. What the fuck is her name? She's got one of those names, except the chick. It's like the chick version of Sebastian Bach. Right? What is her name? Aniston. It's a really beautiful name. Anyway, she's in it. And they got some good bad guys. They got like some Asian mob guys. Those guys are always cool. You know what I mean? They fucking cut their finger off if they do something bad for their boss. I've always liked that. I've always liked the Italian mob thing. I've always liked that, and the Asian mob guys. You know what I mean? Because the Asian mob guys always combined, like, fucking, not only could they shoot a gun, but then they always added the martial arts shit in there with fucking knives and spinning stuff around. That's what I like about the Asian mob. Before they whack you, they have the decency to put on like a show, like murder, Cirque du Soleil, right? Torture, Cirque du Soleil, whatever the fuck it is. I actually watched that, and then, I still had another like 5 hours on the flight, and I listened to Sgt. Pepper's, the whole fucking album, which I hadn't listened to in so long. That is one of the greatest fucking albums of all time. And this is kind of this backlash by younger people that try to say the Beatles are overrated. And all I'm going to say is I just feel bad for you guys, because I had never heard of Jay Dilla until he died, and I follow Questlove on Twitter, and he did some sort of link, and I kind of got into that guy. And if you actually listen to Sgt. Pepper with all this shit that they got going on in the background, crowd noises and all that, and these crazy sounds and all of that, you almost see like there's elements of what Jay Dilla was doing on that album, like fucking 40 years before. It's absolutely fucking amazing album. But anyway, so we were flying, right? And as always, I use all my miles when I got a really long flight like this. And so we were riding up front like big shots, and this woman was up front. These two women were sitting next to each other, and in front of them they had two little kids, and then there was another little kid, and these kids were running all the fuck way around. And is there anything worse than seeing a parent whose kid just doesn't even listen to him? It's like seeing a coach that like lost the locker room. The kid kept getting up. The kid was getting up. We were still taking off, like we were still ascending to our cruising altitude, and she'd go, "Hey, I told you to sit down." And he would just look at her, nod her head, and then continue to fucking run around. And I don't know. She looked over me at one point. I just gave her this fucking look like, I don't know what it was. I was annoyed because the kid kept, running by and then bumping into you. And the kid was old enough to not be cute anymore. He was just old enough where I was considering tripping him when he went by. He was like that age. What is that age? Like 6, 7 years old? Not 7. 7, you can talk to him. It's like, look, 4 and under, you don't lay your hands on him. Between 4 and 6, you trip him. And then after that age, you just look at him like, you sit him down like a person. You're like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? All right? Is that good parenting? Anyways, all right, let's get to the fucking questions here for the week. Where the hell are they? I'll tell you, it was cool being at the airport, man, now that I'm actually flying, and to all the shit that I looked out the window and I never fucking understood. I'm actually seeing what runway we're on, what taxiway we're on, and I'm figuring out why we're still holding there, It's pretty fucking cool, because it was horrible weather, just gloomy and that type of shit, so the tower had like all this traffic lined up, and we were just sitting there, and my wife's going like, how come we're not leaving? We're not leaving. And I'm looking out the window, and I think I was able to call it like when he was going to let us go. I don't know. I can't wait to get back to that. I got 6 more lessons, and then I actually I have my check ride, and I can't fucking wait. That'll be a major fucking accomplishment if I actually get that thing. I got to be honest with you. I brought my notebooks and all that shit to study, and these fucking pre-tests on the internet, and I don't know. You got to get a 70%, and my school tries to get you up to like 90, and I'm all over the map. I'm 85, 90 on some shit, and other stuff I'm in the 60s, but I'm no lower than the 60s, so I figure the next 3 weeks as I'm out on the road, I'll just try to do an hour and a half every fucking day. Anyways, I probably bored the shit out of you, but I don't care. All right. Be the match, everybody. Billy M.D. I'm a 45-year-old female whose son survived from a rare form of bone marrow cancer because of BeTheMatch.org. BeTheMatch.org was something that I mentioned joining a couple podcasts ago, in case you weren't listening. So anyways, I was driving to work and listening to your podcast, and when you mentioned this, I almost started screaming for joy. You're the first woman who ever listened to my podcast who considered screaming for joy, unless I was saying, well, that's the podcast for this week. Then they're usually like, oh, thank God it's over. We were told that he would have a very hard time qualifying to be a donor because of certain factors. You mean getting a donor? Very hard time, yeah, to be a donor. I think you mean qualify. Getting a match, I should say. Anyways, we stayed positive, and after a year and a half, a donor match was found. The match was a young man in his late 20s who had heard about Be the Match and decided to register on a whim. Thank you so much for mentioning it on the podcast. My husband and I often question why programs like this aren't mentioned in bigger forums, be it 60 Minutes or the State of the Union address. I don't know anyone who wouldn't save someone's life if they could. The donor, or as we refer to him as Superman, had heard about this from a friend at a dinner party. Attending that dinner party in turn saved my son's life, which means that you could be part of saving someone's life too, just by having mentioned it. I'm welling up just writing this email, and I know your listeners are usually writing in about psycho women and sports, but if you do happen to read this, I just want you to know that it means the world to you. Jesus, this is too fucking nice for me to read. Too many compliments here. To reiterate, what you mentioned on the podcast, the test is literally just swabbing your cheek with a Q-tip. Not swapping your cheek. That would be some face-off shit. With a Q-tip they send you and putting it in a mailbox. If you happen to match with someone in the registry, they contact you and you have the option of saving someone's life. Fuck this. I'm doing this. I got to do this. Jesus Christ. BeTheMatch.org, everybody. How about you do that? Why don't you guys go out and do that thing, and then the next time your spouse, your girlfriend, or your boyfriend gives you shit, like, what have you been doing all day? What have I been doing? Saving fucking lives, lady. Or buddy. Whatever women say to their guys. You fucking asshole. All right, got drunk, said some things. Wow, got drunk, said some things. Did I write this? Dear Bill, I am what many people have called a habitual line crosser. The classic Charlie Murphy line from the Rick James sketch. I am a habitual line crosser when I drink. Last night, I was out with some coworkers and my boss. Oh, no. At a brewery festival. Oh, Jesus. All right, what are you guys guessing here? Probably told his boss he didn't know what he was doing. And if his boss was female, he probably made a pass at her. What are you guys going with? Did he say something dumb, or did he grab somebody's ass? Anyways, I ended up getting fucking rocked and told my boss to her face, oh my God, she's a female. Here we go. I am willing to lose my job to sleep with you. That's actually kind of funny. He said she laughed and blushed at the bold statement and proceeded to leave almost directly after this. Oh, no. Oh, you said it to the wrong person. Oh, you said it to the wrong person. I'm writing this to you on Sunday morning and have to report to the old fucking clock puncher tomorrow. I have no shame addressing sexual tension with a woman, but my boss, fuck me. My plan is to just carry on like it never happened because honestly, I don't care. And see how she responds with either A, not addressing it and keeping me employed, B, filing sexual harassment, losing my job, and sleeping with me. And he writes, yeah. C, filing sexual harassment, losing my job, and not sleeping with me, boo. Letting me keep my job and sleeping with me, fuck yeah. What's your take on all of this? I don't have a take on it because you have to give a shit. And you don't. You're one of those guys, I have no problem, I have no shame addressing sexual tension. I love the sexual tension. What, your sexual tension? It doesn't seem like she had any. You're kind of just looking at this from your own perspective. You have all the makings of a high-ranking CEO of a corporation because you don't give a shit. You have no guilt whatsoever. You've already weighed out all the options. You just, hey, I get away with it. I either do or I don't. You've completely emotionally not even attached to this thing. You're a dangerous human being, and I hope you don't I hope you're not in charge of the fucking water supply. All right, relationship advice. Yo, Billy Bitch Tits. First off, just want to say And right now, that guy's like, what the fuck, man? That's fucking... Dude, think about it right now. You don't have any guilt whatsoever. You don't give a fuck. You're not looking like, oh, man, I got a drinking problem. I got to change my life, if I'm going to get anywhere in life. You completely don't even give a shit. And then you turn yourself into like this fucking hero. Hey, I got no problem addressing sexual tension. Hey, you know who I am. You know I am. Somebody's got to say it's going to be me. Whatever, man. Good for you. I hope you bang her. All right, it's time for some more advertising. I actually forgot to read these things, so just had to fucking read these and then drop them in. So sorry for the abrupt going from me babbling to talking about the fucking advertising. All right, here we go. Relationship advice. Yo, Billy Bitch Tits. First off, just want to say, huge fan of your stand-up podcast. All right, so I am 21 years old and in the military living in England. I just got here 2 months ago and have a girlfriend back home in the States who I've been with for about a year and a half. And you've already met someone who wants to bang you over there because you got an accent and a military haircut and you've been doing pull-ups and you're in the prime of your life, right? That's what I'm guessing. She's a great girl, tall brunette, has a fucking rockin' body. Oh, Jesus. And is a sweetheart with a good family. Oh, good Lord, dude. If all of that is true, I would rub one out in England for a while. I feel like I hit the jackpot, and we are working on getting her over here, which would mean we would have to be married. I want to do it, but at the same time, whenever we talk about it, I get nervous as fuck, and this weird feeling in my gut holding me back. I don't know if that's normal cold feet or what. I feel like if I dumped her, I'd be making a huge mistake, but at the same time, I don't want to get married and wake up 2 years from now angry that I wasn't single, living overseas, and could have had the time of my life. What would you do in my situation? She's the mother of my kids' material. What? But not sure if we're too young. Oh, she's the mother of my kids' material, but not sure if we're too young. Thanks, and go fuck yourself. I don't know how old you are. You sound like you're young. I would address this with her. I don't know, is that bad advice? I think every guy fucking has cold feet and freaks the fuck out. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? Because women get married, it's just like there's such an advantage to it. You know, the way the divorce laws are set up, like they're for the most part, they're not going to lose unless they're making more money. And then they got to be nervous, I would think. But also, I think just in general, they believe in that romance stuff and all of that shit. What would you do? I don't know, man. That's a fucking rough one. Yeah, let me say that's a rough one, you know? Do you love her? You know what I mean? If you love her and you don't want to lose her, I got to tell you, you won't regret marrying her. All right? Occasionally, you'll be pissed that you didn't crush all that ass over there, and you'll go into the bathroom and you'll rub one out. And the second you rub one out, you're going to be like, I made the right fucking choice. All right? I don't know. You're 21 years old, though. You're not going to get married at 21. Here's the deal. Just tell her you want to be with her, but you're not ready to get married. You're only 21 years old. That's what I would do. Say, I don't want to be married yet. I'm only 21. I want to experience my 20s a little bit. What do you mean? Fuck somebody else? Yeah. No. Dude, you're only 21 years old, okay? If this fucking woman already wants to get married, I mean, I think it's normal to 21 to fucking not want to get married. Just say, look, let's get married around like 26. What is the rush? Let's be single and fucking enjoy ourselves, but like be together, whatever. I would go down that road. Jesus. You know, sometimes you guys ask me these life-changing fucking questions, and I got to try to weigh all options here. I don't want you to get rid of the love of your life, and I also don't want to fucking have you locked down at 21. It's going to come down to you there, fucking private. You're going to have to figure this one out. Yeah, I would start with that. See if you can. Oh, I see. To get her over there, you'd have to fucking marry her. Dude, that's not a reason to marry her. I would do the long distance relationship thing. I don't know what the fuck I would do. All right. Sorry. I did my best. If anybody has any advice for this kid, just fucking write it next week and I'll, if it makes sense, I'll read it. All right. Annoying father-in-law. Dear Bill, I'm a pretty well-rounded guy. All right. Let's fucking right out of the gate. This guy's patting himself on the back. I'm not a complete stiff, but I'm also not a flake. But wait a minute. Dude, those are both bad things. You know? I'm not a jerk, but I'm also not an asshole. I'm not a complete stiff, but I'm also not a flake. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Anyways, I have my shit in order. When you work hard to have your life together, the last thing you want is someone telling you stuff you don't need to hear about when you're supposed to be doing, or what you're supposed to be doing with your life and money. My father-in-law is this person in my life. All he cares about is the market, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, IRAs. He actually wrote bongs instead of bonds. All he talks about is watching his money grow and how I should be saving everything so I can live rich when I'm older. The thing is, I do save aggressively. I'm doing just fine. Recently, I booked a trip to Greece to surprise my wife for our 3rd wedding anniversary. On our first date, she said she always wanted to go to Greece. I told her she'd get there within 5 years. That was just under 5 years ago. Look at you. You're a man of your word. It seems like I came through clutch here. Her father, on the other hand, said it was not the right time because of the exchange rate, safety of traveling abroad, and anything else he could throw in there. How do I respond to him? Do I laugh it off and just wait till he talks shit again and live with it? Or do I pull him aside and let him know I don't want to hear his shit anymore? Thanks. I would do both. I would experimenting with laughing it off at first, and if he keeps coming at you, at some point you just got to take him aside, and just be like, listen, I would actually talk to your wife about it first, just to tell her that you're going to do it, just in case he comes at her with his fucking story of like, I was just trying to help it, and he just browbeated me. I would just say, you just say to your wife, like, listen, I know your father means well, but, he's always talking to me about my finances, our finances, and that type of thing, all right? I know he's very smart with money and that type of thing, but I also feel like I'm smart with money in my own way, all right? And I've saved my money, and we can afford this, and we're young, and you're beautiful, and you want to go to Greece, and I'm taking you because I love you, all right? But I got to be honest with you. If your dad keeps opening his yap, I'm going to fucking shove a dinner roll in it. Are we cool? All right. What are we watching tonight? Real Housewives, or are we going to watch a little sports? Whose night is it? There you go, and then you're out. But at some point, yeah, you got to sit down. If you do have an annoying person like that in your life, you really do. You got to sit down with them, and you have to do it. I do it in a restaurant. Take them out to lunch, so there's no option for any screaming and yelling, and just lay it on the line. You just got to say to them, like, listen, I love your daughter more than anything in the world, and you have to know that I'm going to take care of her. All right? And then it'll be, right after that, you catch him off guard because he knows it's a fucking deep conversation. He wasn't ready for it. You're ready. All right? And just say, listen, I know you're concerned about her well-being. Of course you are. You're a great dad. All right? But I am saving money, and we are going to be fine. I just do it a little bit different than you. Your daughter has always wanted to go to Greece, and I would rather take her now in the prime of her life than bring her over there when we're both, walking around with dentures and canes, okay? I want her to enjoy this before we have kids and blah, 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 blah. And this is what I'd like to do, and I need you to respect that. And I appreciate your comments about our finances, but I don't, how do you say this part? I would just say, listen, I will come to you because I know you know what you're doing. But if I am having a problem financially, which I am not, but if I am, you are the first person I will come to with advice. Okay? Until then, I don't want to hear another fucking word. How the fuck you do it? Smooth it out. That's basically what you do. All right, so that's the podcast for this week, everybody. I got my first show tomorrow night here in Perth. I'm really looking forward to it, man. Going to put my hour together out here and looking forward to all the people that I'm going to see and comics that I'm going to meet and that type of shit. And it's going to be insane. It's already going to be insane going through Australia and into New Zealand, but when I go into Southeast Asia, experiencing those cultures, it's just going to be unreal. Like in China, I had this great interview with the guy for the Hong Kong gig, and he was mentioning how Hong Kong, that they're basically their own deal. They have their own constitution and shit. But in mainland China, as he called it, like, do you know? He said recently they banned puns. They banned puns and wordplay in the media, which I know everybody else is probably going to laugh like, oh, that's silly. You can't make a pun. But, humor is a great way to take the piss out of the fucking people that are in power. And it's a clever way to do it where you can't quite get busted for it. And unless you got a psycho, which maybe they do, but whatever. But it's a way to kind of make your point and stay out of jail and start a movement or whatever. So they banned that type of thing. And I guess the comedians in China are pushing the boundaries of what is allowed on stage. And what is amazing to me over there is that in China, the stand-ups over there, that art form, which I think eventually it will go global. It's really weird that art form has not. The fact that music, acting and all these film, all pictures, painting, all the other arts are worldwide. But stand-up, one of the great arts I feel that there is not worldwide. And it's like brand new essentially in China. And what's so fascinating, mainland China, what's so fascinating to me is that they are actually pre-Lenny Bruce over there. You know what I mean? Like I look at these other places where they can actually talk and I'm like, it's exciting to me because it's like, all right, they're going to have their Richard Pryor, they're going to have their George Carlin, their Sam Kinison or whatever. And, these guys are actually in China are like, they're waiting for their Lenny Bruce to come along, which is pretty amazing to me. And I also can't imagine living in that type of oppression, how that would affect the comedy on just like a whole other level. Like just listening to like Richard Pryor and what he ended up talking about because of what he went through. I can't imagine over there. I don't know. It's just like a different thing. Like there's that whole fucking experience living in a fucking country where there's like, what is that? 3-4 billion fucking people or something like that? Or 1 billion people they got over there. I just can't imagine how you would try to stand out over there. And then you got this oppressive fucking thing where people got to stand in front of tanks and shit. I know that was like 25 years ago, but I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting too. I'm hoping that some comics, when I go to Hong Kong, some Chinese comics will come out and I'll get to talk to them and find out about that. Because the guy was actually going, would you actually do a gig in mainland China? And I was like, no, I wouldn't. Because I don't know how to fucking, I've been a free man. So I wouldn't know how to rein that in. I mean, I've done corporate gigs and tried to tone it down, but I wouldn't trust myself to not blurt out something that would then I'd end up, God knows what, having to have somebody call a fucking embassy over a shit show. I mean, I couldn't handle that. Because the guy was going, do you have any advice for those kids over there? And I was like, no, I don't, because I had a privileged stand-up career where all those walls were already broken down. I actually said what I would like to talk to them, and hear what they're going through. But hopefully, things open up over there, because I really don't think that any government, if you fucking oppress the people, it can only last for so fucking long before people have had it. So hopefully, Jesus Christ. I mean, you need government and you need fucking rules and that type of shit, but you don't got to be taking it to that level, banning puns and fucking wordplay. Give me a break. Anyway, so that's the type of shit I'm going to be encountering here on this trip. Like I said, I'm going to try to watch the Super Bowl. I'll figure out when the fuck it is. I actually left and I forgot to tape it.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Anything Better podcast, another NFL edition. And this week, we will be talking about it's championship week, everybody. It's championship, and then there were four. And then there were
2 weeks left, Paul. What happened?
Dude,
Every year.
Dude, it's sad. The fact that there's only a few games left is fucking sad. It's over.
Why so fast, Paul?
But I'll tell you what, I might have had a good regular season, but boy, am I mean, with the points in the playoffs, I am hurting. Bill, you're definitely having a better playoff run than me. I mean, my New York Football Giants. That's a I mean, woo.
I am too. I took the Giants too.
Yes,
I had the Bengals. I had the 49ers. I don't even know if they covered. 49ers cover? They covered, right? Dude, my memory mush. I literally watched the damn game. Yeah.
But I'm gonna,
Joe Burrow.
dude.
Just coming in, just breaking their hearts. Buffalo, they're like, this is it. We're a team of destiny. The whole country's rooting for us because of that poor kid. Football gods say no again this year, Paul. But you got to start to wonder what happened in the Buffalo, Rochester area that they just, I mean, they had all the pieces. And every year, Paul, the pieces, they like the snow falling. They fall in the ground. Bengals came in there like assassins.
Dude, and you know what's crazy? And I tweeted something, and at the exact same time I tweeted it, the hilarious Joe List tweeted it, and then we texted with each other going, it blew my mind. Tony Romo in the second quarter of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the only time in my life, because I'm a Tony Romo guy. A lot of people talk. I like Tony Romo, but this was the first game where I'm going, what is he? He said in the second quarter, and I'm going, did anybody hear this? He goes, well, Buffalo, they really need to score here if there's any hope. And he said that. And I go, dude, any hope? I go, it's a 7-point game in the second quarter. So then I tweeted it, and then I saw Joe List, and he goes, yeah, it blew my mind. But that
he was right, though.
He saw that Buffalo was finished early, and he knew that they couldn't stop it. But an announcer shouldn't, and a national broadcast in the second quarter goes, dude, if they want any hope.
Had one solid quarterback coach instead of 47 during his tenure with the Cowboys. Now everybody's jumping all over Dak Prescott. Dude, when your team doesn't win for 30 fucking years, at some point you got to look at the front office and stop blaming your quarterbacks and running them out of town. Oh, that's a hot take, Paul. Hey, that's right up on ESPN. The banner.
Yeah.
Oh, what about we got to do that segment, Paul? We got to do the New York Post trying to guess the headlines.
Oh, so this is going to be a new thing that me and Bill talked about. It's going to be on the show, and we decided to do it with the New York Post because I don't care how you feel about politics or anything. The New York Daily News does not do these as good as the Post, but the Post will always come up with one of those clever after a game. It'll be like, for example, like not so giant, and then it'll be like the Giants losing or some shit like that. So me and Bill,
when they were talking about they were talking about how many people are smoking pot, and you can smell it everywhere in New York.
Yeah.
How do I get out? Remind in 1 hour. So that said, Eureka, REEK, Eureka, something like that. The city that always reeks. And then they had a couple of good. I forget what they were. They had like fucking 9 jokes on 2 pages, all about that. How New York smells like doobie doobie doo.
Yeah.
Reference and a weed reference. So we're gonna start trying to guess the New York if the games go the way that we want. You got to guess. Okay. So we got what do you got left here? You got the Bengals.
We got
first throwing Chiefs.
We got the Bengals and Chiefs, and we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the 49ers. We already came up with one. You came up with one.
All right. Well, let's do our picks first.
Okay. We'll do our picks first. So look, I actually think I'm right with both of these now. Okay, and I know it's only two, but I think I'm right. But we got Andrew. We got the live lines.
I like you.
We got to get the live lines here. Now, to win the game, I have. You want me to do my picks and then you do your picks?
Well, I would love to hear your picks. The whole world wants to hear your picks, Paul.
Okay. I like Cincinnati and Philadelphia to win the game and be in the Super Bowl. But Andrew, I need the live numbers now because I said if it's over 7, I would take the Niners. So what is that line?
The Niners are getting 2.5.
Okay, Niners are getting 2.5. I love Philadelphia in that game, especially in. What's that?
I love the Eagles.
The Eagles at home.
It's a problem.
The Eagles at home after what they did to the Giants, it proved Jalen Hurts is a healthy. I love that, and I'm rooting for the Niners. I think.
Coach nodding in the thing, going, "I know what the fuck I'm doing. I know what the fuck I was doing too if I had Jalen Hurts."
By the way, let's talk about that for a second. And this is not sour grapes from a Giants fan, I promise. One of the worst things that I've ever saw any coach do is when that dude looked in the camera and went, dude, that was an upper deck.
Hat yanked down to his fucking eyeballs.
Dude, that was a fan in the upper deck.
Like that gets at the bus stop that gets hit in the side of the head with an ice ball.
Yo, that was a fan in the upper deck. That was a fan. I've never seen a coach go, dude, that was one of the worst, douchiest things. Oh.
Who would ever say, I know what the fuck I'm doing? That's how morons think. I know what the fuck I'm doing. It's just like, nobody knows what the fuck I'm doing. You're doing. You're having a good day.
Oh, my God. You imagine Bill Parcells or Bill Belichick ever looking in the camera going, dude, what the?
And Jalen Hurts, the amount of improv on every fucking play. Where whatever the play is out the fucking window, and then he makes something happen. And then this fucking snowball throwing jerk off is, I know what the fuck I'm doing.
He likes the camera, this coach, too. He loves the camera. But
no, dude, they were doing the 360 shot around the guy, like every fucking play.
I know. I hope it doesn't.
It's bad enough when they do with the players. You know, Paul, the game has passed us by. We're just two old guys. I miss the old stoic coach that just sits there. Remember Joe Torre? You would never know anything. He didn't smile until you won the World Series. Even then, it was a half a smile.
There were two types of coaches when I was coming up. There were the Joe Torres who were stoic and didn't say much. And then there were the Bill Parcells who didn't recognize it, and they were just more of like the Bobby Knights. Now you got fans. You got fans coaching. You got guys talking.
An Instagram influencer.
It started with you called it, Bill. It started with Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan was the first guy to be like, we're going to go down there and we're the New York Jets.
Jerry Glanville. Glanville, the guy. There was always a guy like sort of popping off. I just never saw a guy play to the fucking camera and like, look, there's always been like personalities like that. But now it's just so like, I mean, he's trying to get like a sneaker deal. He's trying to get like a fucking aftershave lotion fucking commercial. He's trying to be a spokesperson for Aqua Velva. Take it away from George Brett. Whatever. Who gives a fuck? I can tell you this though. That guy's got a great fucking team.
He does.
And they're gonna beat if they beat the San Francisco 49ers, I think it's gonna be not so purdy. Eagles soar to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, not not so purdy. And then I think if the
Purdy plays ugly,
and like if the Eagles pull it off, it'll be like, if the Niners pull it off, like Niners ground, Purdy grounds birds, or something along with the flight of a bird.
They can't lay off Purdy.
What?
49ers sitting Purdy as Eagles fall. Dude, I would love to be in the writer's room. Just
Dude,
one day. The sports
dude.
thing.
What about this one? Purdy grounds the birdie. Purdy grounds.
It
Purdy-
rhymes too.
Dude, Purdy grounds the birdie, and then you just see an eagle sitting on a fucking, something like that.
Purdy grounds the birdies.
Purdy grounds the birdies. All right, and then
one ever on the New York Post was when Clemens said he was retiring, and they had a big send-off with the Yankees, and then he signed with Houston, and the title it said, "What an Astro."
That's pretty good.
It was
like
great. They called him an asshole in a clean way.
No, the Post does some good one.
joke.
All right, now, so I like the Eagles with the by 3, and then there's no way Joe. For some reason, I guess the young kids are calling him Joe Shiesty. Have you heard that?
No.
Oh, so anyway, but Joe Burrow is going to go into Arrowhead, and he's going to beat the one-legged, limping Mahomes. I think he would beat him even if he wasn't hurt. I think they're really good, dude. What's that? One?
Chiefs are getting 1.
Chiefs are getting 1, which means it's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em. I think Burrow gets back there. He's got the running game. He's got the fucking, Jamar Chase at wide receiver. He's got T. Higgins. He's got some good players.
Nixon running the ball.
He's got a great McPherson's a great kicker. I'm going to take Cincinnati to win that game.
Got Anthony Nose protecting his backside. Sorry. I got to tell you, Paul, this game scares me. I don't think that either team spanks the other team. I think 1 is the perfect number. I only think KC is getting 1 because Mahomes is allegedly hurt. I've seen that guy get hurt in games and come back and win. He did it against the Cleveland Browns. I don't think that he's going to be limping around. I think the BTK killer, their fucking coach out there, Andy Reid, dead ringer for the BTK killer. Those guys have been there before. They got Travis Kelce. I don't know about this, Paul. I think this is a classic trap game where they just beat the Bills. Trap as far as being a better. That you just think, because it just seems like, oh, yeah, Joe Burrow just doesn't lose in the playoffs. He's got the thing going. He was just too young to win the Super Bowl that one time. Oh, this is a tough one, Paul. This is a tough one. I'm actually going to go KC.
Ooh, okay.
On them. It's going to hurt me because I love Joe Burrow and I love the Bengals, but I just feel like everybody's going to think the Bengals. Everybody's going to be like fucking the forward lateral guy there is going to be Patrick Mahomes is going to be hurt. They're going to put a bunch of money on it. I think the line's going to move, Paul. I think you're going to get more than 1 point. You might get 1.5 or 2 come Sunday. And it's going to be a foregone conclusion. Just one of those fucking games. And then Chiefs are going to come out and Vegas is going to clean up.
If Mahomes does one of those laterals and they go, he on one leg. He's unbelievable. What's going to happen?
Anything that does, it's just like, it sounds like wrestling. Like somebody just ran out of the fucking locker room anytime. And here comes Pat Patterson. All right. So if the Chiefs win.
Yep.
Oh, I had it.
What, Mahomes hobbles into the Super Bowl? Chiefs hobble into the Super Bowl?
Battled Patrick Mahomes gives Cool Joe the deep freeze.
Oh,
City.
Okay.
If he loses, Patrick McMoans loses to Cool. Something about they're gonna figure out how to make name talk about how he was hurt.
And wait, I'm trying to think of if they're going to use the last name Burrow too. Burrows his way into the barrels his way, something.
That'll be it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they would have made like an Indian reference. Chiefs get massacred.
They win with a hatchet job.
Chiefs sent back to the reservation.
Oh, Hatchet. Yeah, something like that.
yeah.
Wait a minute. What's his name? Oh,
Chiefs get-
Jamar. But
It was
here's
the-
the thing. Here's the thing we're forgetting. Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon are big parts. So like Burrow chases the Chiefs as something. There's going to be something like that. Hold on, let me think of one.
No, Burrow has the right mix,
Oh,
the right chaser. Something
oh
like
my
that.
God. Wait a minute. Joe Mixon. I like that one. Yeah. Yeah. The right mix. Shit. There's two
Joe's part-
Joes.
These aren't as easy as you think. Especially when the two of us put our heads together.
So you're taking the Chiefs to beat them.
I'm rooting for the Bengals, but I just got this feeling, man. I got this feeling. Beep, bump. Sorry. I just think the Chiefs have been there. They got a great fucking coach. I don't think Mahomes is going to be as hurt. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, if he is really hurt, magically he won't feel the pain on Sunday. You know how it is, Paul.
Yeah.
That's the question, Paul. Can you go? And there's only one answer. Yes. Yes, I can. Put me in, coach. They're going to get him in there. Right?
Dude, they're going to needle him up. Yeah, they're going to throw a needle in his leg. His leg's going to be fucking numb, and he's going to play. Yeah. Hey, they gave the guy $400 million. He's playing. He's fucking he's playing.
He got $400 million. Do you know what $400 million gets you in Kansas City? That gets you
Kansas City. Hey, yeah, exactly.
Buy the fucking whole city and every barbecue joint in it for $400 million. Your money goes a long fucking way out there, man.
If
Go
Andy
to
Reid,
Branson, get yourself a houseboat.
if Andy Reid makes a good coaching move and they go, like if he challenges something, Andy reads it right or reads it right, something like that.
Said it twice. You go, Andy reads it right? Reads it right? Like, dude, we are both such a couple of summer school kids. Huh? Give me all right. So Paul Verzi has the Cincinnati Bengals laying one.
Yeah.
Oh, Billy Freckles took KC getting one. And then we both took the Eagles.
We both took the Eagles. I'm like you said with the Chiefs and the Bengals. I'm rooting for the Niners. But I have to I saw what I saw. And even though the coach did that, and even though they beat my team, they're a better team. So the
Eagles coach. I would love to have a beer with that guy. Absolutely. But I'll tell you this right now. No one knows what the fuck they're doing to that level. To sit there and nod at the fucking camera. It's like, dude, you're winning a playoff game. Thousands upon thousands of coaches have done that.
Yeah.
And never went any further. So, like, I don't know. And plus, like I said, fucking broken record here. To see what Jalen Hurts was doing. You know what I mean? It's like fucking, I can't say LT, but back in the day when LT was running around, Bill Parcells, you know, not going to take anything away from that guy, but he literally had a Marvel superhero.
Yeah.
On D. Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil Jackson's got more rings than Red Auerbach. He also had Superman and Superman's son to build his fucking team around. Like, okay, Jesus Christ. Did you win?
Yeah, and the Hulk.
And Shaq.
Yeah, and the Hulk.
Mountain that could talk.
You know what? I liked Sirianni before the nod of the head because they asked him, they go, hey, did you watch the Giants? Did you watch the Giants and the Minnesota game? And he goes, yeah, had all the coaches in the room. And you know what? For some reason, we just decided to get some bad pizza or something. He goes, we got Pizza Hut stuffed crust pizza. And we just sat down and watched it and ate it. And I was like, all right, this guy's like, you know, even though it's terrible, he knew. And then when I saw the head nod and then you don't think I know what the fuck I'm doing? I was like, all right, I'm done. But all right. So we both like the Eagles. And Bill's going to take the Chiefs. I'm going to take Joe Burrow, getting one, and there you go.
You know what? You know what the fuck you're doing?
And because we know what the fuck we're doing.
He literally looked like some jerk off with end zone seats, nodding into the camera, excited that he was on TV. And this is like a professional head football coach. I really think that was a moment in NFL history where now all the young coaches that saw it are now going to start doing that shit. And now we're going to have to deal with like the TV. They're going to have to have a split screen when the team scores the touchdown to watch the player doing his dance and the head coach, like what he's doing. I just like, I don't know, Paul, I'm telling you, dude, this is like we are living in an unprecedented ignorant time.
It is.
Because all of these people and all of these cameras and all these ways to put your fucking opinions out there. I mean, look at us, Paul. Okay, not like we're not part of the problem. But the way that ignorance is being like lofted up and something to aspire to. And if I hear one more moron say, I like this guy because he reminds me of me, I just want to be like, have you done any introspective work on yourself whatsoever? Somebody had that joke. Like, I like the president. He sounds like me. He's like, I don't want the president to sound like me.
No.
I want him to be way smarter.
Yeah. He's a regular guy.
He's a knock around guy.
Yeah.
He's a moron like us. He's I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, coaches used to look like football coaches the way baseball managers used to. Now baseball managers are jacked and thin. I remember Stump Merrill. His name was Stump, and he looked like a stump. I don't know if he's alive. If he's alive, if he's not, rest his soul. He came out to the Yankees. He waddled out to the mound. Everyone would go, Stump. He had a big belly. He looked like a baseball manager. Don Zimmer, rest his soul, looked like a baseball manager. Football coach, I'd give it to Andy Reid. Bill Parcells. Who was the guy? Chuck Noll. But who was the Eagles guy? The Eagles one.
Dick Vermeil?
No, the other one. He had Buddy Ryan, Rex's dad.
Buddy Ryan.
Buddy Ryan looked like those guys look.
Coach. So does his brother.
Hank Schramm.
Well, his brother actually looks like a roadie for the Allman Brothers, though.
Yeah, Hank Schramm. Hank Schramm was like an in shape, out of shape guy, if that makes sense. He was like a put together, out of shape guy with the red jacket.
Teamster body.
Yeah, but he talked like he was selling watches. He was like he would always go over to the ref and like have like really fast conversations.
Yeah, he talked like a used car salesman,
Yeah.
but that you kind of liked.
Yeah.
Come on, that thing runs. It runs great. Just I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lombardi, dude, look at Lombardi. Lombardi, not the greatest of shape, but you were like, this guy knows what he's doing. What the hell's going on out here? That's
Grab. Nobody cares.
Yeah. Now they showed that one guy doing yoga. The fucking coach of the Chargers was like doing yoga with his back. It's just like, I don't like it.
Hey, look, dude. I don't want to die either. So these guys being in shape doesn't bug me. It's like, I'm telling you, dude, that fucking thing was a shift.
Yeah.
Shift.
Yeah.
It was like when Donald Trump was running for president and the press was accusing him of shit. And he just said, hey, you're probably right. And they had no follow-up. He exposed them. Like, you guys are a paper tiger. There's nothing behind this. Like, you want me to back down and then fucking no, I'm not leaving this election. And I'm admitting to what you're accusing me of. What do you got? And they had fucking nothing. Now, did you see that fucking Joe Biden? Did you see that Joe Biden clip?
No, the new one?
From him way back in the day, dude. He's going off going like, I was in the bottom third of half of my class and went up to the top third. Like the math didn't even work out on it. And he talked, I have 2 degrees in this, blah, 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 all of this shit. It was all bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You saw him, dude. He was just making up shit. Back when his mind was sharp, that guy could make up fucking lies on the fly about how great it was. And that's the kind of shit, dude. When I was a kid, if that ever came out, you had to bow out in shame. You know who changed it? Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton. When all Bill Clinton's whores came out and said he did this and he did all that, and he was just like, I had a couple of,
Yeah.
infidelities. but I ain't leaving. Old Slick Willie.
Yeah,
Went
and I
right
think
there with that fucking Jesus Christ, lad. You know, Al Gore was like Pinocchio, middle age. It was like he was like, sorry,
dude, I love. Did you see Dana? Did you see Dana Carvey's
summer school with George W. Bush?
Did you see Dana Carvey's Al Gore? He goes, Dana Carvey's Al Gore. He goes, he's like really like effeminate, and he goes, it is getting hot. Dude, it's so fucking great. But
Dana
yeah,
beast.
oh my god, dude. But you know what? That Arkansas twang makes you get away with stuff, dude. It makes you, if he sounded like Trump, he wouldn't get away with it as much.
What? Bill Clinton was from Arkansas. Where was Al Gore from?
Yeah, I don't. That's a good question.
Carolinas or something like that.
It's got to be. It is getting hot.
Going like, I worked the soil. I was touching it. He just said all stupid shit, and he kept staring at him like, why is this wooden puppet talking to me about farming? That guy really had the charisma of like a fucking dork.
Yeah. Washington, D.C.
He's from D.C.
He was like, what if an inanimate object could talk? Dude, they've had some bad ones. Like, they've had some bad people just bombing. But then if you have too much energy, then you're fucked. That one guy, remember that guy?
Oh, Howard Dean?
I was getting it. We're going to go to Minneapolis. We're going to, right there. That was great. And then he was going,
And they were, dude, they yanked him right when that happened. It was a wrap.
And nowadays it wouldn't even matter. It would just be a meme and he would roll with it and they would bring him on stage to that sound. Yeah. Let's hear the battle cry. And there'd be a million mouth-breathing morons going, it's over, Paul. It's over. Yeah. Just enjoy yourself before we fall into the ocean. All right. Football this weekend, everybody.
All right, we are gonna do a one-game parlay for the AFC Championship game versus the Chiefs and the Bengals. What?
We this year. Just won every round. We have to knock them out.
Listen, we're gonna do it this week. We're gonna do it this week, and we're gonna do it with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because I know what the fuck I'm doing.
And then we're going to look at the camera and go with our fucking dumb hats over our eyes. Okay.
It looked like a hat his mother sewed. Mom, I don't want to wear it.
All right. So, you got
pull it over your ears. It's snowing.
Couple prop options. Right. I'll read a few out. You got Patrick Mahomes over under 285 passing yards. Over under 15 rushing yards. Now that might just be a fun under right there if you don't think he's going to be able to move at all.
You got God forbid, but
I don't think he's going to do it.
No, but here's the deal. If God forbid it's like everything's on the line and he's got open field in front of him and he does it and everybody goes nuts and then they go, Mahomes on one leg gets a first down. I don't even want to fucking
Nobody ever played hurt at that position like that ever before.
That's funny. All right. Plus 1 passing yards, plus 2 passing touchdowns, plus 2 passing touchdowns.
You appreciate what you just saw, that one-legged skipper.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
haven't seen somebody sacrifice their body since John Elway did the helicopter in the Super Bowl. You can hear all that shit.
All right, because they actually gave credit that somebody else did it. You have to act like no one has ever done it ever.
Yeah. All right. What's the Joe Burrow passing situation?
Over under 275 yards. Anytime touchdown. That'd be rushing. 1+ touchdown, 2+ touchdown passing.
I think under on either one of those. I take the under on either one of those.
So under 275 passing yards.
Yeah.
Under 275 passing yards for Burrow. I agree. Touchdown for Burrow?
No, I was saying for Patrick Mahomes. I do it with either one of them. I just don't see this game like they're going to be like fucking throwing 50-yard
You want to do the unders?
What's
You want
the
to do
under for
unders on
Mahomes?
passing yards?
What's the under for Mahomes passing yards?
285.
I like that under.
So 285 for Mahomes, 275 for Burrow.
No. We don't have to do both. We can
I'm
do
just
one.
saying that just to.
Yeah, what do you think, Bill? Which one do you think is more under? Burrow going 275 or Mahomes going 285?
I like Mahomes under, even though I'm betting the Chiefs. I just think this is going to be one of.
Yeah, that's a lot of yards. That's a lot of yards in an AFC Championship game, and he may dink and dunk, but I don't know. Let's take under 285.
Okay.
I think Burrow's going to throw one to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. What's that?
I said, watch Kelly break one.
I think Joe Burrow's going to throw a touchdown to either T. Higgins or Jamar Chase for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so we can do an anytime for T. Higgins.
No, can't we just do a touchdown for Joe Burrow? Touchdown pass for Joe Burrow?
Oh, yeah, pass, yeah. So +1 passing for Joe Burrow, yeah.
Pass, +1 for Joe Burrow, under 285 for Mahomes, and then what's Joe Mixon's rushing yards number?
Over under 60. Rushing, receiving 25.
Any other fun ones?
Might be over there.
Great numbers they just picked there.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Juju Smith-Schuster, over under 50 yards receiving. Tyler Boyd, over under 40 yards receiving. Might probably take the over on that. Travis Kelce, over under 85 yards receiving.
Ooh. Is Travis Kelce for a touchdown?
Anytime touchdown. So, yeah, receiving.
I mean, that's his guy in the red zone every time.
All right, let's go with that then.
All right, so we'll go Travis Kelce to catch one, Joe Burrow to throw one, and under Mahomes 285 passing. Gotta get it.
I think it's going to be a close game and not a high-scoring game. Smash cut, absolute blowout.
Mahomes looks great. All right.
He's got 274 yards in the first half.
We don't even know which leg was hurt. All right, let's wrap this up now. So, both of us are taking the Eagles. Oof, as painfully as that is to say with this sitting next to me and that, we're going to take the Eagles lay-in 2.5. And Bill is taking the Chiefs getting 1, and I'm taking Cincinnati giving 1. And then we have our parlay for you guys, our championship parlay. Okay. Travis Kelce to catch a touchdown. That's his guy. I like that. Joe Burrow to throw one anytime in the game. I like that. And we think Patrick Mahomes is going to go under 285 passing yards. I like that too. So there you go. And guys, as always, just download the app and you can play with us. You put in the anything better. You could click on the anything better parlay and bet with us. Here's how you do it. You go to BetMGM, you download the app, you use bonus code Burr, BURR. It's very simple. You put in as little as $10 and they'll match up to 1,000. Even if you lose, all you got to do is make sure you put in the bonus code. Our bonus code for anything better is Burr, BURR. And there you guys go. Bet responsibly, and like I said, as little as $10 up to 1,000, they're going to match it. Doesn't beat that, get a stack. You can't beat it. Get a stack. There you go. Enjoy championship week. What could I say?
It was perfect. Get a stack. You wipe your nose. You can't beat it. Get a stack.
Yeah, like I've been doing blow. Wait, no.
Call your wife later. Get a stack. You'll be fine. Hey, one day a week. I do blow 52 times a year on Sunday.
And then, oh my God, one more week. And then we'll be back with our Super Bowl edition next week. But actually, we could wait.
Pro Bowl, Paul?
What's that?
I'm burying Pro Bowl this year. Burying it. I got the AFC to win big.
You're going to bet on that flag football game?
There's always one that goes hard and ends somebody's fucking career every couple of years.
No, yeah, it's
Yeah, you know, that's how I do it. You know, put a helmet on, fucking hit somebody.
yeah.
Like when ended that catcher's career at the fucking All-Star game, ran him over.
Oh
Fucked
my
up
God.
shoulder. That was it. All-Star game.
All-Star game. That was Pete Rose, right? What was the catcher's name?
Nobody remembers. For the Detroit Tigers.
That's fucking horrible. Andrew, find out who Pete Rose ran over just for his family's sake. If somebody's listening to this, the fact that you said nobody knows is so horrible, man. That guy got bulldozed.
Listen, Paul, sometimes life hurts. You know? Sometimes you're Pete Rose. Sometimes you're the other guy, just standing there waiting for the ball to come in.
Dude,
Ray
did
Fosse.
you see what?
Ray Fosse.
Ray Fosse. I remember that. Yeah.
On to do music. One singular sensation.
Yo, they just showed a picture of Pete Rose like this, holding his first like gambling ticket at a sports book. And he's just like this because he bet on I think he bet on one of his teams, and they just showed him there, and it was just such like a prop. It was like OJ holding a fucking OJ holding a fucking
guy that bet illegally on baseball to a guy who fucking killed 2 people.
No. I was thinking of like OJ holding something that as like a, I was gonna say knife, probably an off-color joke. I'm sorry.
He's on the network. He's on Chopped. Dude. Oh, my wife the other day. She was watching one of those. She watches that food show where they have the kids cooking and they fire the kids because they can't fucking cook good enough. It's just a fucking horrible show. And she's watching it. And there was this kid on there. He was such a fucking little douche. You ever just see a kid and you just see the fucking corporate CEO he's going to be? I don't want to describe him because he's still a kid, and I don't want to fucking make
what
his
is it like Gordon Ramsay?
Dude, they're building another kitchen for him to scream at people in.
You call that a cupcake?
No matter how you cook it, he's not going to be happy with it. What do you say to your son if he's an aspiring chef and he's going to go on the Gordon Ramsay show? And just, all right, Paul, listen, you have a temper. So like when he starts yelling at you, because he's going to yell at you, just block it out. Just keep stirring that fucking thing in the
Dude,
pot.
If he screamed at my son or daughter like that, and I was there, I'd stick his dumb Irish head in boiling water. It'd be the end of the fucking season. What? Eat what?
He's English.
Oh, whatever. English.
But that fucking dude, somebody's got to get him some lotion. His face looks like a fucking Rand McNally map when I started.
It's such an act to be that mad when it's not good. It's one thing to go like this is he gets like he wants to fight the person.
Yeah, I mean, he's a showman. I will tell you this. When he was going around to those fucked up restaurants trying to fix them, that show was my favorite. Because the guy can cook his fucking ass off. I'm just breaking his balls here. That fucking thing when he went in and he would go in, they always had some fucking piece of chicken that had been there since last February. And he would be like, oh, God, what was that smell? And he'd come in and he'd start like fucking gagging.
Yeah.
Like just rancid shit in there. And it was, God bless. I will tell you that, dude. Like, if anything gets that guy into heaven was that show. Because he was talking to some of the dumbest people. It's like, how did you even open a fucking restaurant? They were so fucking stupid. And what was that called? That wasn't called Bar Rescue. That was
no.
Restaurant.
I know what it was, though. I know what it was. He would find a failing restaurant with bad chefs and change the menu. I forgot the name of it. It was like a restaurant version of Bar Rescue, but
And 10 days of him leaving, it just went back to the same shithole it was.
Kitchen nightmares.
Kitchen nightmares. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Hope you guys have a good championship week. Hope your teams win. Hope you win some money. This has been the Anything Better. Unfortunately, second to last one ever for this season. Oof, that's tough to say. No more football, no more.
Well, listen, all you guys out there know what the fuck you're doing.
All right, guys, this is the show. Enjoy championship weekend, and we'll see you next week.
All right, sorry, I talked over you.